Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on in and join us. Now, usually we do a big roll call here and say hello to everyone, but the chat room is already hopping. And of course, we are under, a little bit of a tight schedule around here. So thank you everyone for tuning us on in. And look, Luis Elizondo is our guest tonight for the first 90 minutes. Then we're going to be joined by Nicole Sakic. We'll get to the regular show right after that. But for this 90 minutes, I want to go through everything here, okay? There are a lot of people who go in trolling a lot of the chat rooms that Lou is in. So we want to make sure that tonight we remind everybody that our rules are in effect. Our rules are very easy. Have fun. Enjoy the show. You may not agree with me. You may not agree with the guest. However, we do command and ask that there is full respect for the guest that is on the show tonight. We will not be tolerating any sort of lewd, rude comments, and that's the way it's always been in our chat room, and that's the way it's going to stay. So I know the majority of you, I've seen you in the chat rooms, and good to see Rob Zombie in the chat room already here tonight, a.k.a. Sean Cahill. That's just a great Vegas story right there as we speak. And I know Sean is laughing as I mention that. But guys, let's have fun with Lou tonight. Let's enjoy it. He's not doing very many more podcasts on this run and radio shows on this run. He is going to be going into the dark, shall we say. We're going to find out why here momentarily. But we're here for a good time tonight, everyone, and we're going to try and get some different questions in that Lou normally does not get when he is out, okay? So it's up to me to do that job. It's up to me to try our best here and make things happen and give Lou something a little bit different than what he's used to. Once again, we got Lou for 90 minutes. Then Nicole Sakic is going to come in. We're going to break down the interview. And then in hour 3, it'll be the same with the Swamp Dweller. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is going to be here. And then we are going to have the thought of the day, actually Dave 101. And I haven't even figured out a topic about that. Actually, I have, but we'll go with it. So the main thing is, guys, tonight, let's just continue to have some fun with this tonight, because pretty soon Mr. Elizondo is going to go silent. And we're all going to be wondering, well, where the hell is he? Where the hell did he go? We're going to find out why tonight. We got about 90 seconds here before we're going to launch this bad boy here. And, I just want to say thank you once again to everybody who actually came out to Las Vegas this past weekend and hung out for the fan party that we had. It was a huge success. We are going to be doing it again next year. And Nicole Sakic and I are going to be sitting down this week, this weekend, and we are going to be going through everything that worked, stuff that didn't, and whatever else we can figure out to put on a major, great event next year as well. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. And I'm going to suggest that all of you come on down. It's going to be in May next year, not April, May. And for those of us like myself that's got to save up the bank account for it, I'm starting already. I hope you do too, so that way we could all have a good time. Obi Flett, thank you so much for kicking off the super chat tonight. Once again, Obi was in Las Vegas with us. It was a great time. and it was great to meet him and many, many others that are out there. And who else have we got here? Jefferson Lee, thank you so much for the super chat as well. And we really do appreciate the love, man. And let's see here. Yeah, I think the only thing I'm going to bust Lou's ass on tonight is for shaving that and trimming his chin hair there. That really pissed me off. But the rest of it, we'll get to some good stuff tonight. Doug Shelby, thank you so much. The Doug Shelby for coming on in. All right, we got about 15 seconds here, people. About 15 seconds. And we're going to rock. We are going to roll. And we are going to make this thing happen. So I need a favor from all of you, if you don't mind. Let's get your horns up and let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Odyssey Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight as we are going to start off for the first 90 minutes of the show with Mr. Luis Elizondo, the former head of ATIP, where we're going to break down what is going on in the UFO and experiencer world. From there, we are going to break down tonight's interview with Nicole Sakic, researcher and author. And, of course, right after that, in hour 3, we got the Swamp Dweller back with us. We got Super Duke for World Bigfoot Radio, the Dave 101, and Shirky Poo's News. All right, let's get right to it. Luis Elizondo is a career intelligence officer who experiences included working with the U.S. Army, the Department of Defense, the National Counterintelligence Executive, and the Director of National Intelligence. As a former special agent in charge, Luis conducted and supervised highly sensitive espionage and terrorism investigations around the world. As an intelligence case officer, he ran clandestine source operations throughout Latin America and the Middle East. But for us in this field, we see Lou as a key holder to the lock which stores the UFO files inside the Pentagon. But for how much longer? Hopefully, we'll find out some answers tonight. Luis Elizondo, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. It's been a while since we had you here, but we're glad to have you back. Thank you for joining us. And Lou, I seem to have lost audio. There we go. There we go. I got it.
How you doing? Mute me. I know a lot of people don't want to hear me, so I don't take offense to it.
Yeah.
First of all, a big thank you to you, and a big thank you to your audience for being here with me this evening. Allow me to add a quick caveat. As you know, I'm a little bit under the weather today, actually quite a bit this week. So please forgive me if it looks like I don't feel so great. My apologies. I am very, very happy and honored to be here with you. So please don't let this somehow make people feel that I'm disinterested, because I'm not. I'm just running a fever and I feel pretty run down. Thanks again. And again, to your folks out there that support this conversation, thank you. Obviously, I don't get a penny of it, but I don't do it for the money. I do it so we can have this conversation collectively. And I think most importantly, before we begin, is a quick reminder that ultimately you, the audience, is the most important piece to this entire thing. I do this, and I'm sure our wonderful host here is doing this for you guys, so you can be part of the conversation and hopefully, more importantly, be part of the answer at some point, right? So I'll leave it at that, and we'll begin.
I'm going to start off with a real tough question here for you because this past weekend in Las Vegas, one of your good friends, Sean Cahill, joined us for the SOR fan party. And one person said he looked like Rob Zombie. The other person said that we were dealing with Jason Momoa. Who are you going with? Are you going with Rob Zombie or Jason Momoa?
I'm still going with the Mystic Lion. I mean, there's just something about that when he walks into a room. First of all, Sean is a rare breed. He's extremely articulate. He's hyper intelligent. This is a guy who was, a trigger puller for a while, getting on a boat and basically putting people face first on the deck, and going after pirates and whatnot. So it's amazing that you see somebody in that role, and then when you see them, in real life, all of a sudden, you kind of have this different appreciation. Like, wow, not only are you like an American hero, like you're a really smart and sensitive American hero, and you actually do what you do, in the interest of the American public. So it's been a real pleasure and honor for me and my family. Quite frankly, I know Sean's entire family, Jennifer and the kids. They're incredible human beings. A lot of people don't know this, but his wife is actually a pretty senior teacher. I won't say specifically where, but for special needs children, and she's just amazing. And that takes a very special person, right? To do that and to love that kind of work, and then come home and be a mom and be a wife and be a patriot and pay. Look, Sean gets a lot of crap like I do. He's probably a little bit better at it than I am at handling it. He's got more of a bit of an esoteric view of things, which is helpful for a guy like me. Because my line of work, I tend to go after things directly, when in reality there's a bigger piece here, that our mission isn't complete, and we can't afford ourselves to be distracted. So I'm really glad you got a chance to meet Rob Zombie, aka Momoa, aka Mystic Lion, but he's always going to be Mystic Lion to me.
And I don't blame you for that. I want to get into this right off the bat, Lou, because this is an interview that is going to fly by, which is going to feel like about 10 minutes. And we got you for about 90 here. I want to get right into the fact that you are stepping away from the public eye here very, very soon. You booked a bunch of podcasts, radio shows, and television interviews in about a 6-month span, as we're all thinking, well, is this a lead up to Lou's book? Is this a lead up to more? But you have decided that you are going to step back into the dark side of the UFO side to try and get more work done. Why have you made this decision?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. I honor my commitments. That's maybe it's the military in me, but integrity is very important. So a lot of these wrap up interviews I'm doing is because I've committed 6-7 months ago, and I'm going to honor those commitments. But I probably have maybe 1 or 2 left, and that's it. And there's several reasons, but most importantly is because my concern is that the messenger now has become more important of a topic than the message. Right? Public engagement is very important, but there comes a point where somebody becomes a distraction, and I don't want to be a celebrity. Never have been, and never wanted to be, and I never will be. Hopefully, that's not me. As most people know who know me, I've lived my life in the shadows, and I'm doing this out of necessity, not out of want, but out of need. If we want to have this conversation and be where we are today in the conversation, there was no choice for me. But I am going to be doing some work now where my public persona can actually be a bit of a distraction. When I come out of the shadows, I think it will be very, very clear what I've been up to and what I'm doing. Unfortunately, I can't share the specifics now. But let me leave you a few breadcrumbs here, because it's what I like to do, and in some cases, leave a little bit more. I think in the near term, you're going to start seeing some more headlines, pretty big headlines, and probably headlines that are coming from some pretty important people in this country about where we are in the discussion. The fact that elements within our government are getting more and more information, very, very compelling information, almost on a regular routine basis. And yet still there's elements in our government that are dragging their heels. And the question is why, right? I am not at all wanting to villainize anybody. I understand this is a very sensitive topic. I understand this is a topic that we have kind of backed ourselves into a corner over the last many decades. But we're at a point now where I truly believe sunlight is probably the best antiseptic.
Right.
Um, we cannot afford anymore, I think, operationally, financially, credibility wise, to continue to look at this topic the way we've been doing it, and that is completely sub rosa. It's not. It hasn't helped us, and the concern is that it's kind of the worst kept secret because other countries are most likely looking at this topic like we are. And my concern is, we don't want a foreign adversary to have more insight than us. It's one thing if England or Canada does, because you guys are friends and we're practically brothers and sisters. But there's other countries out there that really intend to do harm and will use a technology like this for really bad reasons. And that's really one of my concerns. One of the things that truly keeps me up at night is wondering, God forbid, someone cracks the code of this who isn't very, how shall I say, collegial on the world stage. So I am going to be going into the sunset for a bit. I will be out of this social media community. I may, depending if the opportunity presents itself to continue to drive the message, I may do one or two major media outlets just as to add either perhaps color or texture to a particular story, because stories are going to continue coming out. We're not done with the conversation. We're nowhere near done. In fact, like I said before, we're shifting gears into yet another part of a multi-geared gearbox. So
Right.
that's why I'm doing it, and I'm doing it because
Yeah.
I think people need time to think for themselves. There's a lot of people out there with opinions, and at the end of the day, opinions don't matter. I hate to say that. It's facts. What does a fact say? What does the data say? What does the mathematics and the science say? And then let's draw and formulate our opinions based upon that and not the observations, not the other way around. Let's not comport facts and data to comport them
Right.
around our own opinion. That's backwards. That's the wrong way of doing things. Go ahead.
You said something very important just a couple of seconds ago, because the one thing that I've tried, this is our third time interviewing you, and I've always tried to more humanize you rather than bring you out, because I think the people who are listening are the ones who are trying to get to know you, maybe not on the governmental side, but who is this Lou Elizondo guy? And you just said something very important, which is that you have become the spectacle and the topic has taken a back seat.
Right.
Okay. Why do you where did that shift happen, and why do you think that happened?
I think there's natural progression in this topic. There's a lot of people out there that start off with good intent and then wind up going down the road of pride and ego and wind up becoming hucksters and doing this for money. And they themselves become more important than the topic. They become the mission instead of the mission being the mission. And I don't want to be that guy. I said it from the beginning. I'm not that guy, and I'm going to prove it to you by going exit stage left. Because there's a lot of trappings in when you're a public person, and I'm not even that public of a person, but there's a lot of trappings there, and people forget who they are. Look, I've been through 2 wars. I've been through some of the most horrible things that humanity can do to one another, and I've also been privy to some of the most beautiful experiences someone can have. And for me, ultimately, I don't want. I'm doing this because you want to know who Lou Elizondo is? I'm you. I'm just like you. I'm just like everybody in your audience. And I have the same feelings and the same fears and the same desires and, the same, you know, nuances and whatever. I'm just like you. And if you were in these shoes, what would you do? A lot of people would stay because they like, the attention. Well, but at the risk of what? Of accomplishing the mission? Well, then you shouldn't have been part of the mission to begin with. I'm not doing this for guts and glory. I'm doing this for the truth. And I think actions speak louder than words. That's my perspective, anyways.
If you say that you are like us, and I think on a humanity level you are. I mean, you're just everybody breathes, everybody's blood is the same color. But there's a lot of people who are in the chat room and listening to this tonight who are like, well, I don't have the keys to the Pandora's box of UFOs. Lou may have one or two keys, and I would like to know what those one or two keys are. I mean, part of the big disgruntle, I think, which is out there, is what you're limited to say because of your NDAs. Now, people who understand NDAs will say, look, this guy's actually given a lot. Those who don't understand the NDAs will say, he's given us nothing. I mean, that's a no-win situation for you.
It is, but like I said before, I can't chew people's food for them. I can't think for them. I mean, if you go back, even the last 3 years of things that I've said, it's all come to fruition. So either I am the best psychic in the universe, or what I'm telling you is real, and it is real. And you don't walk into Congress if you're a huckster or a fraudster. It doesn't work that way. You don't keep your security clearance. You don't. I mean, that's not the way. It's not realistic. And so that's from people who don't understand the system, and that's okay. I don't expect everybody to be an expert in government. Just like I'm not, an expert in horseback riding. We all have our own backgrounds and experiences, but people need to recognize, especially as it deals with the government, NDAs are serious. This isn't a joke. You go to jail and potentially forever. There's people like I can name their names, like Hanson and Pollard and Ames, that are serving time for the rest of their life because they provided classified information, right? People like Edward Snowden, whether you like him or not, he can't come back to this country, right? At least not now. Private Manning went to jail and was going to serve the rest of his life there had it not been for a presidential pardon. So this is a real issue. And I'm a father. I have two incredible daughters, greatest accomplishments of my life, and a wife of 30 years. Why would you ask me to jeopardize that? What, just to satisfy someone's curiosity? I would not ask somebody to do that. And by the way, we don't have to do that. Look how far we've come in 4 years, right? I mean, I can go on the long laundry list again, like I've done before, but I think most people now realize we're substantially farther now in the last 4 years than we have been in the last 70, and we've just begun. I mean, this is not a one-hit wonder, folks. This is a long, enduring effort we're in, and some people don't have the stomach for it. I wish I could quit. I wish somebody could pick up the baton right now and I could just disappear with my family and no one ever know who I am again. But I don't have that option. And if you want to continue having the answers that you're seeking, then I have to continue working, and I don't have to break my security oath to do it. We haven't had to do it yet. Chris hasn't had to do it. I haven't had to do it. Hal or anybody else. And by the way, there's more people that are going to come out. Don't think that when these people come out, like, did Lou know that person? Yeah, you damn right I knew that person. Of course I knew that person. But I do not and will not and have not dimed people out just to save my own skin. People now know Jim Lukatsky was the director of OSAP. He asked me not to reveal his identity, and I honored that, even at my own expense when people were throwing arrows at me. I didn't do it to save my own skin, and I'm not that guy, and I'm not going to do it for the others who are also part of this effort.
How big is this effort?
It's big. It's big, and it's a lot more involved than most people know. It's not just, hey, there's necessarily a couple things flying in the sky that we don't know. Maybe it's air trash or space junk. We're talking about revolutionary technology, a breakaway technology that's been able to operate in our controlled U.S. airspace now for decades. Think about that. And there's a really good possibility. Well, we know it's not ours, and there's a really good possibility it's not foreign adversarial. So where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us now with the uncomfortable conversation that governments and organizations and institutions don't ever want to have, because it's a tough conversation, right? And that is, well, it looks like maybe there are other things in the universe, and maybe in our hope to discover life somewhere, maybe life has discovered us first, right? Earth has been here for billions of years. We as Homo sapiens have been around for the last maybe 100,000, and we just pretty much climbed out of the trees and stopped eating fruit and nuts maybe 10,000 years ago. I mean, that's a blink of an eye. 10,000 years, and now we're already kind of inching our way to space, and that's only been done in the last century. I mean, most of our innovation as a species has been just the last 100 years. Think about it. 100 years ago, we were practically still on horse and buggy. There was no aircraft or airplanes. There wasn't any real type of medicine or microbiology like we have now. It didn't exist. So think about it. We just now started looking into the heavens really in earnest in the last 100 years. Are we really surprised that maybe something has found us first? The 900, the 99,999 years, before that. Yeah, probably.
Lou, we got about 4 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Luis Elizondo is our guest. We've known you as a public for 4 years. You've been doing this a long time, Lou. When you look at the entire subject, skip the governmental side and the security side. What scares Lou Elizondo about this entire phenomena?
Oh my gosh. Dave, to answer that question, I'm going to have to go more than that. It's not about the phenomenon that scares me. It's our reaction to it. I mean, you see it every day on social media play out. That's my greatest fear. That, on one hand, I think, okay, it's time for us to handle this and get a grip on it. But then I look sometimes, I'm like, man, we're not prepared for it. We can't do it. We absolutely are not ready for it, because it's an absolute mosh pit. Even with people who have no understanding of this topic and no background in government, somehow they become self-proclaimed experts and try to derail and hijack, what we're trying to do here. And, are we really ready as a species for that? And people say, well, there's only a few of them. Well, but no, there's a lot. And you can look at news every day and see humanity, the horrible things we still do to each other. Are we really prepared to eventually, at some point, maybe soon, begin to exploit some of this technology in a meaningful way? What's the first thing we're going to do? Well, what's the first thing we did when we discovered, the secrets of the atom? Well, we vaporized 500,000 people, right? We were building bombs before we were building nuclear power plants. And I'm a product of that. I'll be the first one to say. But as a human, as a father, as a husband, as a citizen, we've got to get out of that mindset, because there's no second chance with this. And, we're going to have to really prove it to ourselves more than anybody that we are prepared for the truth.
I want to ask you, as we got about 2 minutes to go, we saw, at least in our lifetime, my lifetime, and many others, and I brought this up on the show, that during the whole COVID situation, we saw, at least I did, some of the worst in humanity. People ripping milk out of people's hands, water out of people's hands, meat and food and everything, stealing toilet paper. People going to Costco, buying, 1,000 rolls of toilet paper. Was that watched by your group to see how humans would react under a panic situation?
Brother, it wasn't just COVID. Look now, there's top stories of people ransacking in broad daylight stores and laughing while they are stealing thousands and thousands of dollars, or they're ramming into a car, beating up an elderly person, and then stealing the car and laughing. What kind of human being does that? Well, a human being doesn't do that. In fact, an animal doesn't even do that. A monster does that. And my concern is that we've got a lot of monsters prowling the streets still. And they're also prowling the halls of Congress, and prowling the halls of the Pentagon, and prowling the halls of churches and civic groups and governments and everything. And we have to do a better job. We have to. This is a big responsibility. There's no second chances. We could really, really screw things up permanently if we're not careful. And so that's what keeps me up at night.
I can see that, and I can feel that from you, but I just look at it, and I stand with you on this one. And I've said it on this show previous. I do not think that the general public is ready for any type of ET contact. I don't think that we are mature enough as a species. And it scares me to think what would go on if all of a sudden they announced that they were here, or the president announced that they were here, or whomever. I don't think it'll be Trudeau, though, because, well, that's a different story. But nonetheless, Lou Elizondo is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We have him for another 60 minutes here on the Mighty SOR, and we're going to get into some serious topics about UFOs, about the experience people are having. What does the government know? What is happening in Canada? Because being Canadian, I need to know that answer right there. Lou Elizondo, one of his final interviews before he moves back into the dark and works on this story from the inside. We will be back with more Spaced Out Radio when we return on the Mighty SOR.
I'm going to grab a quick glass of water, if that's okay.
Sure.
I appreciate it. There's some folks on YouTube there, so forgive me, folks, but let me grab Let me grab a glass of water. Like I said, I'm not feeling too well. I do apologize, but
That's
my
okay.
mouth is starting to get dry, and I got a horrible
ahead,
headache.
man.
So please
Go
forgive
ahead.
me for that.
Yeah. All right. Just want to let our chat room know and people listening, because there's like 352 people watching. If you are new to our program and you haven't watched us before, we are a live radio show. And because of that, we do have to take commercial breaks. You get to see on YouTube the background scenes of everything that is happening, which is why we're going to take a 5-minute break. And at the top of the hour, we'll take a 6-minute break, because I have to time everything out with my radio stations. And so I appreciate your understanding. And we will continue on with the interview, like I said, for another 60 minutes with Lou. And yeah, so far so good, people. The record is 455 with Lou. 455. I think, 455. Lou has a couple more interviews to do, and then he will be stepping into the dark to concentrate more on going and concentrating on this topic behind the scenes. All right, I had you on mute there, Lou.
Appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. Oh my, Joe. Oh my. Smack the like button like you were Will Smith at the Oscars. Very nice. Very nice. Don't talk about my show like that. Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Joe just got a new Rottweiler, so he's all happy right now.
Well,
puppy.
most people know I've got four German Shepherds, and I'm looking at getting 2 more. The one thing about German Shepherds they don't tell you is that German Shepherds are like potato chips, and that is you can't just have one. And then there's another little fact about German Shepherds is that they're made of Velcro, and you don't realize it till you get one. They stick to you, and they will sit on your feet, and they will not move. That wherever you go, that's where they're going to be. And they're also very quirky dogs. They're probably the most non-canine of dogs. They're probably more like the children, frankly. And they behave like children, and they're super loving. They're mischievous. They're incredibly smart. There's an old saying by Mel Torme that I like to quote. He says, the more I get to know people, the more I like dogs.
I don't blame him. I got 2. I got one German Shepherd cross and a purebred German Shepherd. My guys are getting old though. Yeah. And it's to the point now where I have to let them out the front door because there's less steps.
Oh, I had to build a ramp for my oldest Paris. She what we say in Spanish, viejita. She's an old girl, and she's getting gray around the muzzle. And she takes her time now, and she kind of meanders and wobbles through the hall. And so it got to the point where she was having some dysplasia issues, and I'll be darned if I'm gonna have to worry about my dog hurting herself. So I actually in the back deck built a pretty extensive ramp. Something that you could probably drive a car on if you wanted to, just so she could get down a little easier, get back up. Well, the problem is that the little puppies had discovered in the snow, it's like a slide. So what do little puppies do? They're running up and down, and they slide down. They run back up and they slide down. Yeah. Of course, it's like my old
guy, Doug. He loves the snow. And he actually builds himself his own little sliding ramp down in my backyard on the slope. So that way, when he gets into the backyard, he can actually go on his side and slide on down.
Yeah.
He had never really seen snow until we moved up here. And that's his favorite hobby now. When it snows,
yeah.
Holy cow. He's like a 2-year-old again.
My wife had sent me a video of her taking all 4 dogs out, running an errand, because we take our dogs pretty much everywhere, unless I'm traveling here for work and stuff like that. But it's funny because she'll take videos of them, and they are just literally like a soccer mom taking the kids. We're empty nesters. My oldest daughter is is at Georgetown, and with a career. She's getting her master's, and my youngest is about another year of college, and then she'll do get her career. So we're empty nesters, and so what we have is fur babies now, and it's funny. You really do treat them like kids, and there's a connection there, between the two species that really transcends. I mean, whether you have four legs and four paws, or two arms and two legs, it's wonderful. It's
I'm going to get you to hold on right there, boss. We're going to go right now.
10-4.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you taking the time to tune us on in. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Luis Elizondo is our guest tonight as we are talking all things UAP before he heads off into the darkness once again. And then we wonder, where's Lou instead of who's Lou? Lou, welcome back.
Glad to be back.
All right. I want to just kind of kick things off here. You said right in the first half hour that a year from now, we will be having a fundamentally different conversation. Do you think that conversation is close, or that it's maybe come to pass behind the scenes, or is it yet to come?
Wow, great question. I'd rather underpromise and overdeliver. So when I say things like that, I'm pretty confident that what I'm saying is going to happen. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict everything from that perspective, because there's a lot of people involved in that conversation. But it is happening, and there is absolutely no way the cat is going to get put back into the bag. That's not going to happen. So we are moving forward, and I'll tell you, there's some very, very brave people, both in the executive branch and the legislative branch, that are not letting this go. They now know the truth. They have been given the evidence and the information, and they are not going to be stonewalled anymore or snookered into believing this is a quadcopter or a balloon or something like that. And unfortunately, that a lot of that still stays and resides in classified channels. But I'm also confident that Congress is going to start figuring out ways to get it out to the American people, because that's kind of their job, and they're kind of fed up and sick and tired of all the whitewashing. So, I'm not the kind of guy that blows my own horn. You know that. I'd rather give other people the credit for stuff like that. But we are working together, and there's an incredible team of people in Washington, D.C., incredible team of people out in Colorado Springs and California that are working this topic diligently within the confines of the U.S. government. And then, of course, there's our elected officials like Senator Gillibrand and Senator Marco Rubio and Warner and some of the folks in Congress as well. There's some folks out there. One of the gentlemen I think that's really helped spearhead this from behind the shadows is Congressman Tim Burchett, and to some degree Congressman Gallegos. These are people that are usually on opposite sides of the aisle, and yet they're coming together for this topic because they realize it is a nonpartisan issue. And by the way, let me say this if I can, Dave. It's not just here in the U.S. I hope you don't mind me diming you out here a little bit, but I think people would be surprised to know just how much has been happening in Canada as well. And to a large extent, some of that is because of you directly. I want to be very careful. I would never propose to speak on behalf of the Canadian government, nor you. But we've had some conversations, and we've been able to get information and conversations to some very senior people in the Canadian government and get them connected with people in the U.S. government. And that's happening. And that's a big deal. And in large part, a lot of that, was because of you. And I think that's something, I've never heard you even ever take claim for that, because you're not that kind of guy, but I saw it. I was there. I worked with you on that. And I just want to say thank you, because to a large degree, you're doing exactly what I'm doing. You're just doing it in a slightly different way. You can do it behind a microphone where I have to, do it with a suit and a security clearance, but we're doing the same thing, and it's working. And my hat's off to you, because that's one heck of an achievement, man. I mean, like, for real, that was a big lift, and you pulled it off.
Yeah, I never said anything because there's certain times you got to button the lip. The
Mhm.
larger story is bigger than the smaller story. Hey, look what I did. You
Right.
know, that wasn't too much about it. But, so I guess we should kind of spill the beans. I have sources in Ottawa. My audience has heard me talk about those sources in Ottawa. And in one of my private conversations with Lou, it happened. And my source in Ottawa says, "Hey, Dave, can you get me in touch with Lou? And that way we can start some serious conversations." So I said, "Well, I could try, So that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. And
Yeah.
you guys were able to talk, and for the record, none the wiser. I know nothing of the information that was discussed. That is not my place. I would like to know. Not gonna lie, I would like to know, but that's not my time or my place.
Well, there were multiple discussions, and those discussions led to meetings and other discussions with the right people. So again, my hat's off to you. Thank you very much. I think people would be, well, maybe your audience won't, but people down here in the lower 48 would be surprised to know that there's a lot of incidents of UAP UFOs in Canada. Northern province of Ottawa, for one, is a pretty hot spot. I'm not going to go into detail, but uh, it and it's kind of common sense, right? I don't think UAPs look at a map and look at lines on the map and say, "Oh, we can only play on this side of the border, right? We can't go over there because they don't know us, or they're not ready for it." They don't recognize national borders. They just go wherever they want to go, and they do. And we see them,
Well,
and
let
you
me
see.
ask you this, since you brought up the topic, what is Canada's role in ufology when it comes to this? Now, recently, Member of Parliament Larry Maguire came out and stated that he had conversations with you and asked if there had been any reference into reports of UAP over Canadian national nuclear facilities. Canada does not have any nuclear weapons, but we do have nuclear energy power plants. And he recognized that there was at least 3 incidents that he knew about. So what is Canada's role here regarding this? Because the federal government has yet to act on this. It's only the opposition that is inquiring.
Well, again, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the Canadian government. I would never propose to do that. I respect the sovereignty of the Canadian government as much as I do the American government. But what I can say is that there are elements that are definitely interested in this topic, because they're getting some information as well. Let's not forget, you guys have F-15 aircraft like we do, right? you have
F-18.
advanced radar systems like we do, and you have a lot of the same capabilities we do. We have maybe a little bit more densely populated, country, because we've got more people. But for the most part, we speak the same language. We have the same culture. We fight together. We celebrate together, unless it's hockey and and other things like that. We are for the most part, one people, two nations, but really, living together. And your some folks in your government have been very brave to come out and have done what some of the leaders in my country have done, and that is say, "Hey, I want answers. Stop telling me BS." In some cases, you have people that say, "Look, I saw one." So don't tell me it was a balloon, because I know what a balloon looks like. Balloons don't travel against the wind at 1,000 miles an hour. It's not a quadcopter, because I saw it back in 1984, right? And they didn't have quadcopters. We didn't have hypersonic missiles. We didn't have a lot of the things that we have now. So stop telling me what it's not, because I know it's not that. The question is, what is it? And I think the people in Canada, and when you ask me that question, there's really 2 answers, because there's what is the Canadian government's role in this, and then there's what are the Canadian people's role in this, and they're a little bit different. Kind of like here in the United States, the government is there to pass laws and to enforce laws in the best interest of their people. That's what governments do, but they shouldn't be making a decision necessarily what's in our best interest, right? We make the decision what's in our best interest, and then the government's job is to execute that and protect those interests. But government shouldn't be making that decision what's in our best interest. We need to be making that decision, and so should the Canadian people be making that decision. So if UAPs is a priority, then the people have spoken. The government really doesn't have a say or shouldn't have a say. Just do your job and do it and figure it out.
Lou Elizondo is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We got him for about another 45 minutes. Lou, I want to shift gears here because recently, over the last few months, we have seen a number of conversations coming out, whether it's from Bill Nelson at NASA to Jim Semivan to other people talking about personal extraterrestrial experiences and belief that extraterrestrials are here. We seem to have all of a sudden jumped forward in this entire race. Personally, I'm quite surprised that it's already happened, about the fact that people are having encounters that are going on. Did you expect this part of the conversation to happen this quickly?
Well, I mean, certainly I've been hinting for 3 years about biological effects, right? The six observable. And that's, now you see it in law. I mean, I want to be careful what I say, but there shouldn't be any surprise. We've got the UFO community, UAP community knew 3 years in advance before the American people what these issues were, and that they were being represented and fought for diligently day in and day out to get these things into some semblance of a priority for our country, albeit through a law or a 180-day report or now annual reports. Yes, it's important. I mean, people want me to say, is biological effects important? Of course it's important. Yes, but it's also a very delicate matter. We have to be careful how we proceed. We can't just jump in with a preconceived notion, because the moment you go there, you start talking about abductions. Well, that's subjective. I'm not saying it's not real. What I'm simply saying, it's subjective, and we've got to get the right people in the conversation. I'm not qualified to have that conversation, brother. I'm just not. And you don't want me having that conversation. I can tell you it's important, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not a certified medical doctor. I'm not, I've got a medical background maybe, but I'm not a medical doctor. I'm darn sure no Kit Green. So, or other doctors as well that may be working on this effort. So may or may not be working on this effort. Let me say that. This is a very serious question. And right now it's a question that needs answers. And that's exactly what you're seeing.
Are there people that are more qualified that will be coming out soon to talk about the effects on
It's
experience?
not up for me to say they're coming out. Am I hopeful they're going to come out? Yes. Are they already working within the elements of the U.S. government to facilitate? Absolutely, they are. They're working on it. Whether they're going to come out like me, well, they've seen what happened to me. So, if I was one of them, I probably wouldn't want to come out either, because they've seen what I've been through, the ringer, and the attacks I've been under, coordinated attacks, by the way, from certain individuals, not, of course, I'm not labeling the entire Pentagon, because most of the Pentagon works very well and is full of very good, dedicated, patriotic people. But there's a few elements there that need to be shaken up. And, people have seen how I've been treated by them. And only now, are we getting some closure on it, which I knew ultimately was going to happen. I'm not done yet. There's still some characters in there that probably need to find some other employment. So I'll see if I can help them find that employment.
One of my sources close to this situation stated that we need to start pointing some fingers towards Gary Nolan coming out and his research at Stanford University regarding the experiencers, because Gary has a plethora of information that I do not believe is under NDA. And maybe it's time, as this conversation warms up, that Gary starts bringing his results. I know you can't speak for Gary, but would you be a proponent to somebody like Dr. Gary Nolan coming out with his findings?
Yeah, provided he's afforded the proper protections and doesn't have to go through the crap that I did. Yes, but as my friend, if you were to ask me right here and now, should he come out? I'd say no. No, because he's going to go through the same crap I did. And he's going to do the same thing on social media. He's going to go through the same thing with anybody he's associated with. So, as my friend, I would tell him, no, Gary, I love you too much. I don't want to see you go through it. As a patriot, I'd say, hell yeah. But that's his decision. Gary is an incredible human being, incredibly intelligent, and he wants to do the right thing. If you ever get a chance to meet him in person, he is the most humble guy you've ever met. and probably one of the most intellectual guys you've ever met. And he's just a really good person. I mean, like deeply in his heart, he's a good person. He's done a lot. He does a lot of charity stuff. I'm not going to say it because it's not my place to say, but brother, he donates a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of expertise to helping a lot of people, and they have no idea he's involved. That he does that out of his own generosity of his own heart. So that's the kind of guy Gary is. And so you're asking me, should he come out? No, because I want to protect my friends. I don't want to see anybody I love or care about, have arrows thrown at him, because it's not fun, because it affects their entire family. But would he be helpful potentially coming out in public? Well, of course, I mean, it's Gary freaking Nolan, right? Nobel nominee.
Absolutely. But do you think that, and you've seen the information, the majority of us have not, we can only speculate, in the information that he has, would it be life-changing, earth-shattering? Would it prove beyond a reasonable doubt?
Well, I mean, that depends who you ask, doesn't it? If you ask somebody who's already a believer, probably not. If you talk to somebody who's not a believer, probably not, because they're still not going to believe it. It's the 90% of the masses in the middle that have no idea about this topic and what to believe, right? So you have to give them information, you have to give them data, you have to give them facts, and then let them formulate their beliefs based upon that, right? I think it would change a lot of people's perspective, a lot. I think if you were to go back 4 years and fast forward the tape to where we are today and do all of that in one day, people would have gotten whiplash. People would have been like, holy crap, we are in disclosure. But because it's happened a little bit, that's Christina. Hi, Christina. Because it's, 4 years may seem like a long time for a lot of people, but in reality, it's a blink of an eye on a topic like this. How long were we fighting in Afghanistan? Almost 20 years. Think about that, right? In a tiny little country. And what our achievements were, well, we can debate that for the next 100 years, I suppose. Look how far we've come in 4 years. 4 years on this topic. It's historic. You have law, you have briefings, you have an organization like AOIMSG, the AIM office. You have infrastructure, you have policy, you have pilots reporting, you've got people on ships reporting, you have incidents coming out, you have videos, you got FLIR, you've got telemetry, you've got radar data, you've got photographs, I mean, my goodness. I mean, I think that's pretty good for 4 years.
I think so too. I do think that, we want more though, but for like I said to Sean on the weekend, the majority of us on this side, Lou, we're in first gear, shifted into second. You in your crowd is in fifth gear going into sixth, and we're trying to catch up. For you, it's 4 years. For many of us, it's a lifetime.
Sure.
Especially those who claim that they have been taken since childhood or
Sure.
had experiments on them. I mean, never mind the Travis Waltons or the Calvin Parkers or anybody like that, or the Chris Bledsoes, but there's a lot of people out there who are hiding in the woods because they are absolutely petrified.
And they're going to create a capability so they can come out of the shadows. But let's face it, second gear is better than being in first gear, and first gear is better than being in neutral, and frankly, neutral is better than being in reverse. And for a long time, we were in reverse. This country and other countries deliberately tried to squelch this conversation and confuse the topic. So we're no longer going backwards. We're going forward, and we're gaining momentum. And I understand people are impatient, but like I said, again, and I keep reminding people, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. This is a relay race. And this is not about satisfying instant curiosity or saying, see, I told you it was real. This is more serious than that. This is not about the human pride and ego. This is about potentially an existential conversation involving each and every one of us. Look, this is something that I let me say this. Frankly, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what size, what color, what gender, what race, what religion. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity. It doesn't matter, because every single one of us is going to be affected by this. And if anybody out there who's listening to this is a celebrity or is not a celebrity, we're all the same, because this is going to affect all of us, and you can't buy your way out of it. You can't. You can buy your way out of a lot of things in this country. You're not going to buy your way out of this. Just like death, you're not going to buy your way out of it. You're not going to buy your way out of this conversation. This conversation is happening, and we should probably have this conversation together.
But if you're leaving, we can't have that conversation with you.
Well, but you can't, because you may not need me for the conversation, because you're going to continue to see what I'm doing behind the scenes, and you'll know my fingerprints are on it. You'll know that's having this conversation. That's one of the reasons why we created Skyfort, was to be able to create a mechanism that allowed everyone else to know what we were doing without Lou having to come out and say everything that we're doing. Right. This is why you see Sean doing what he's doing. Sean is highly capable, highly skilled, and he guy knows a lot, and he's a good soldier, good sailor, and we need more like him. And maybe it's better we start seeing more of Sean's face and less of Lou's face for a little while.
I don't know if the public's ready for Sean. The Rob Zombie look. I don't know.
Have you seen him on CNN? He's polished, man. He looks great. I look like I belong in Sing Sing prison, sitting next to him.
Oh my gosh. Standing next to him with all the Rob Zombie fans coming out of the woodwork in Vegas. It was incredible. Yeah. People walking up to him, horns up, and yeah, I know he's laughing.
Well, actually, Sean's a really good guitar player too, and a good vocalist, and a decent drummer. So, I wouldn't be surprised that he's got a secret life being Rob Zombie. He's actually very talented musically too.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of debates out there on what is going on, and if Sean is the next one to come out and speak, I mean, we're gonna learn pretty quickly if he decides to make that choice. But for you, I mean, knowing that you have Sean's back, as we got about 2 minutes here before we got to go to break, do you look at it as this is just an evolutionary step? You've taken this as far as not only that you want to go, but that you can publicly. And now it's time for somebody else to take that next step and take it the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, success is always based on change. We can look at nature and we can see that. Nothing is forever, nothing is static, and it's important we realize that. I think more of us should look in the mirror and realize, okay, when is it time for me to exit stage left? As I said earlier in the interview, right? Well, that time has come for me now to do that. At least for now, and continue to move forward in the other areas that I'm talented, and the areas that I can move the conversation. I'm not sure that you need me anymore, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what utility I have other than people asking me the same questions and me having to say the same thing, where you're just going to have to wait and see, right? I know that gets frustrating for some people, but unfortunately, that's the way it is sometimes. I think Sean brings in fresh perspectives. He brings in new energy. There's other people too. It's not just Sean, by the way. So I'm not just picking on Sean and say, Sean is the chosen one. He's one of many people that we can rely on, and that you can rely on, and your audience can rely on to tell you the truth. And ultimately, that's what's important. It doesn't matter what Sean really looks like at the end of the day, or that he can play a guitar or anything like that. What matters is you can trust him because he'll tell you the truth.
Well, I'm signing with the hair and the beard combination. That's where I get my truth out of them. No, but seriously, and I look forward to that. I've got to know Sean quite a bit here over the last little while, and he is very, very stand up, and very, very. He has strong opinion. He has very, very, strong answers, and I think it's going to be good. I really do think it's going to be good. Lou, we got you for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio, and we're going to hop out here for our break at the top of the hour, and we will return in hour number 2 with Lou Elizondo for the next half hour. Then Lou's going to run. He's doing 90 minutes tonight. He has, he's battling like a good hockey player would with a cold on the ice, man. Yeah, I have to throw in the Canadian stuff there. What can I say? But we're going to continue the experience, where this is going, what is happening. Lou Elizondo, right before he steps into the darkness on Spaced Out Radio. Then Nicole Sackett will be here to break everything down before we head off the swamp in hour number 3. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this.
I'm going to get some more water if you don't mind, real quick, and apologize again to your audience. I'm feeling absolutely like a dog today. I'm feeling absolutely terrible. Got a raging fever, so I'm going to go drink some more water and try to hydrate myself.
You go. I'll take you out here. Hold on.
Thank you.
Hello. Look at her. She's all muted. I'm taking you out too. There you go. I'm taking you out. I'll be right back, audience. I'm taking me out. So just sit nice and tight, and we'll be back with a little bit more here momentarily. By the way, Alicia, you were supposed to be in Vegas with us. Be right back. All right. I'm back. Lou is back. I want to say thank you to all the amazing super chatters here with us tonight. And I'll say a big thank you to Obi, Jefferson, Doug, Mennonite Abe, Lucy, G. West, Whiskers, Lori, Thomas, Davey, Filth, KJW, Ken, Patrick, Rix, Lyle, Bob, Ray, Dry Toast, Christina, Jeremy, Eddie, Jeff, and Alicia. Thank you so much for the love, everyone. Really do appreciate it. And we got Lou until the bottom of the hour. We're going to get going in about 90 seconds here. So,
Forgive me for wearing a jacket. Like I said, I'm fighting a pretty horrendous cold or flu here. So I got a little bit of the chills. Forgive me.
no problem. No problem. You just continue on. And like I said, we got about a minute here. And thanks, Sean. Oh, yes. Rob Zombie in the chat room right now. We appreciate that. And Mystic Lion, whatever you want to call him, he's good for it. And thank you, Farflung, for the super chat. Really do appreciate that. And we're going to get going here in about 30 seconds. So just sit tight, relax. And we're almost there, everyone. We're almost there for another 30 minutes here. And then we'll say goodnight to Lou, send him into bed so that way he can get some rest. Go from there. And 20 seconds. Thank you, Lou, for doing this, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, it's important. Like I said, I promised you a while ago. So,
oh yeah,
get her done.
Oh yeah, we're getting her done, and we got like 5 seconds.
I'm so happy to see all the ladies out there that are involved in this. You know, this is it really warms my heart. You know, I've always said this before. I make no bones about it. I think women are the greatest accomplishment in.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Palestra. Palestra is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We have him until the bottom of the hour. Luis Elizondo, the former head of ATIP, not feeling well tonight, but the main thing is he's being a good troop here and sticking on through. Lou, we really appreciate you taking the time.
No, my pleasure, my privilege. No worries.
Lou, over the next couple of months, as you start to step away from the field and work behind the scenes and more people start to come forward, what can we as a public expect to come out? Is it all about the government bureaucracy? Are we going to see more videos? Are we going to see more action towards the entire phenomena that is coming out? What do you see happening?
Well, I think you're going to see more frustration from those inside the government, and you ultimately may see some new legislation this next year, which is great.
What kind of legislation?
We
already have that.
I'm not at liberty to discuss that, nor would I want to, because it's a bit too early to make that prediction. But I think if once it happens, people will probably go back and be like, "Oh, Lou actually said that right there." So I'll leave it at that.
Do you look at this subject as it goes through all the hairpin turns within Congress and the Senate in the United States that we are going to be in for a long-term fight with this, whether or not it comes out? Because
I think a major milestone has been achieved most recently. It's a bit too early to tell. I think there's been a major milestone. I think a lot of the resistance that we were facing before has melted away to some degree. There's still some pockets, but I think the consensus is becoming more and more evident, and that we need to tackle this. We can't keep this forever locked in the shadows forever. that the time has come for us to start having a conversation, at least internally, what we should do about this.
What is the fear from the politicians?
Oh
Is it
God.
that we are not alone? Is it a religious fear? Is it the idea that there's something better and bigger out there that we cannot control?
Well, it's even a little more complex than that. Think of an onion. Lots of layers to an onion. The outside layer is, obviously, political survival, right? And stigma and taboo. Then you go into a level deeper and you're like, okay, it's real, it's serious. What are the implications to our national security? Then you go a little deeper. So what's the implications to our society and our institutions and our organizations and governments, right? And then you go a little deeper. So what's the effect on society itself, right? And then you go a little deeper and say, okay, well, how much do we really know? And if it turns out that maybe we have a little bit more insight that maybe we care to share, then comes a whole bunch of other problems that you have to now figure out. And they're not simple problems, very, very complex problems that require some very smart people to work on, because it's not just snap your fingers and, oh, now we have transparency and disclosure. This is a process, and you've got to let the process work. It took us 70 years to get into this corner. It's going to take us a little time to find our way out of it. And the last thing you want to do is handle this topic in the wrong way, because the stakes are too high. You can't afford to screw this up. You only got one shot to do it right. And so we owe it, even if people don't think we're doing it in their best interest. We really are. We're doing this to try to get this conversation going in an equitable way where everybody can get some of the answers out of it. Look, quite frankly, too, there's a lot of things we don't have answers for, and we might not for a long time, forever.
You're probably gonna shake your head at my question here, but I would be remiss as a journalist if I didn't ask it. I'm still trying to figure out, after all the time of silence, why the last 4 years has happened. And the reason why I wonder this is because my brain works in strange ways at times. And to me, it sounds like there's something bigger coming around the corner, and it has nothing to do with this planet. Is that why this has all been prepared?
Well, I don't think it's been prepared. It's been a lot of hard work. It's a lot of us putting our asses on the line and doing. Now, it turns out that the timing couldn't have been better, but we didn't plan the timing on this. This wasn't some sort of planned event where now all of a sudden, we're going to roll out disclosure. Despite what people like to think, that's not what we did, for sure. I made a lot of enemies doing this, a lot, and it cost me dearly. I'm not going to go into it. I think some people have an inkling of it. People that I've worked with definitely know what I went through, and may still go through more of it. It's not over. The fight's not over yet. I mean, I'm pissing a lot of people off, Dave. I'm pissing off a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that have a lot of equity in this, and they do not want me speaking. And what I'm trying to do is convince them. Look, I'm not your enemy. I'm not trying to hurt you. Okay, I'm trying to help you and get this topic out of the corner that's been stuck there this whole time. And try to protect you, protect the information. I'm not your enemy. I'm your friend. I know it doesn't seem like. You ever watch? I'm not a big fantasy fan, but I did watch Lord of the Rings. And my daughter still loved the movie, and so does my wife. The one scene that sticks out to me is when, in the beginning, one of the hobbits has the ring, and he's been hoarding it, and it's been slowly eating away at him. You have Gandalf, the big wizard, come in, and he says, "Give me the ring." And all of a sudden, the George says, "No, it's mine. It's mine." And you're going to take from me. You're going to trick me, and you see him, and he says, "Look," and he gets very big for a moment, and he says, "Look, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to be your friend. I'm trying to help you. Okay, what that ring has done for you over this amount of time has not been good for you. It's not it's not been healthy for you. It has not been helpful to you or anybody else in the Hobbit land, in the Shire. Let's take this burden off of your shoulders and let's place it into a more appropriate box, that we can let a new generation of people look at and talk about this conversation." And that's, people can't feel threatened. Okay? You can't feel threatened if you have something, a toy, and you feel like the bully's going to come by and pick you up and beat you over the head with it. Well, you're not going to give it to them, right? So,
Right. But if it isn't about disclosure, what is it about? Is it about that maybe, and I'm way too sci-fi here, but have we maybe had a message come from somewhere saying we're coming?
Sure, possible. But Dave, I think that answer could be different for every single person out there. Every single person that says, why disclosure now, will give you a different answer. People say, oh, because we got a message. People say, well, because the time was right, or because it was planned and orchestrated, or because it was just a haphazard coincidence. Lou got pissed off finally and said, F you, screw you, I'm out of here. I'm not gonna hide this anymore. Some people will say, well, it's because we're reaching an epoch moment of our evolutionary species, and now the time has come, and the Mayans have said this. And I mean, again, it's an impossible question to answer, Dave, because everybody will probably have their own opinion on it, and there really may not be one single truth. There may be several.
What's
Maybe
Lou's
a
truth?
confluence of things happening that just it's one of those moments, one time in a century, where everything just happens to come together at the right time.
What's Lou's truth on this?
Wow, Dave. That's a whole other conversation, brother. That's not going to be answered in the remaining time we have left. No one's ever asked me that, and that's going to take some time. I can't just throw that off the cuff, because I'm not even sure what the full truth is yet, and I can't provide you what I don't know or I don't have. So that's
Do you want to know? Like, you know more than most already. Do you really want to know the answer as to what's out there?
Of course I do, but Dave, I'm tired, man. I mean, honestly, I'm okay if I didn't, because, and I know people say, "Oh my gosh, how can you say that?" Well, it's like religion. Are you really okay if you don't know the color of Jesus's or Muhammad's hair or anybody else? I mean, is it at the end of the day, does it change your faith, right? In this topic,
Right.
maybe it does. Maybe these are truths we do need to know. Maybe we do need to know what color was the staff, that Moses had. Maybe I don't know. For me, it's been a long, rocky road, and truth be told, Dave, I'm pretty tired. I'd like to get a chance to sit on a rock and maybe change my socks and rub my feet a little bit before I keep trailing up that hill. Yeah, of course I want to know. I want, more importantly than me, I want my kids to know. I want the future to know. Even if I don't get the answers, I'm okay with that. As long as someone gets the answers eventually, as long as our future gets those answers and can handle it responsibly. That's what I want.
This is the first time I've really sensed a real sense of I don't want to use the word fear, but almost emotion in your voice regarding that subject.
I mean, Dave, it's pretty important. I mean, we're not talking about a Hollywood movie. We're talking about potentially the future of humanity, of our species, our entire planet. And either it's something serious or it's not. I mean, look, there's a lot of people out there that really don't care. That's fine. Go back to watching Kardashians or what do you want to watch, and you know, get that dopamine hit if that's what you want. But that's not what I want. I want the truth. I want my kids to know where they live and who they live with. So yeah, I'm a
I
little.
hear
I mean, obviously, you're asking me questions. You're asking me to be vulnerable a little bit, and I'll share that with you. Um, but I think everybody wants a little bit something different. So I can't tell you what the actual truth is, because for everybody it's a little bit different.
when you go back into the dark side of things and you step out of the public eye, how will your role change regarding this subject? Because you're now not the face of the franchise.
It's not going to change at all. In fact, I can probably do more because I don't have to have the distraction of it's like you go to the beach and you feed a seagull and all the seagulls start coming, and then you can't enjoy the beach that you were there to go in the first place, because it's now you're overrun by these birds that just want your food. And so for me, it'll probably be a relief, to be honest with you. Maybe even be more combat effective, because I can do things and have the freedom to maneuver without having to come back and report every single thing I'm doing and then have to take face shots for it, and I'm okay with it. My wife is thrilled by it. My wife is like dancing, break dancing in the kitchen floor because I've chosen to do this. This has been horrendously difficult on her. I mean, Dave, we lived in a trailer for almost 2 years and had to give up everything. I mean, people are rat infested out in a hangar in the middle of we were living bad, and I had come through so much in my career only to have to put my family through that. That's not fair. And yet she did it, and she tolerated it, and she stayed with me, and she supported me. This isn't her cause. This isn't her cause. Her cause is my family. That's the most important thing. And I jeopardized that by doing what I've done. I have jeopardized that. I've jeopardized the sanctity of our family and the security of it. You don't think that weighs heavily on my back? Of course it does. But I also know that we cannot live as a society without speaking the truth. I took an oath, and my wife knows I took that oath to my country many years ago. And I've never been absolved of that oath. That's who I am. And I would not only would I not be able to live with myself, my wife, you think she could wake up in the morning and look at me? She knew I compromised my values. That's why I think, she loves me, because I'm definitely not good looking, right? I'm not really funny. So, I think the one value she does see is that I'm extremely, for me, integrity and values is probably single-handedly the most important thing, because that you die. There's not a whole lot of things you take with you to the grave. You do take that with you to the grave. You take honor and integrity and values with you. And right. To me, that's important. And my kids wouldn't respect me if they knew that their father just sold out because, it's too hard, too difficult. That's not the man I am. And, not expecting everybody to feel that way. It's just the way I feel.
When you step into the backside, are you going to look at this last 4 years and say, I would do it again? Or would you prefer to never step on that stage in Seattle?
I would prefer not to ever step on it. But will I if I have to? Yeah, absolutely I will.
Will you come back out?
I mean, it's a possibility. If when I'm needed, I will do what I need to do. And if it requires me to come back out, then I will certainly do that. I've got a lot of tricks up my sleeve and aces up my sleeve still. We're just now finishing the first couple rounds of the match, but this is a 12-round match. We're in the fight for a while.
If you look back the last 4 years, what would you say is your greatest accomplishment, and reverse of that, what your biggest failure would be?
My greatest accomplishment was being able to have the conversation. I'm still alive to tell about it. My greatest failure has to be the failure that I've made and I don't realize it yet. Not being able to recognize when I failed, because if you don't recognize that failure, then you can't do anything to fix it. And I've made mistakes. I'll be the first one to say I've made mistakes, and because I'm human, right? I do my best, but that is the human condition. And I've always tried to hold myself accountable, but there are times that you just don't know. No one tells you you've made a mistake. Maybe what you've done, you won't realize it was a mistake for a year or two down the road. And I think that's my greatest fear, because I'm sure I've made mistakes along the way, but the ones that I'm not aware of, those are the ones that those are my greatest failures for sure.
Do you look like your greatest piece of intel that you gave up was yourself and all the Easter eggs that you've hidden all over ufology?
Yeah, I mean, people are going to be digging those up for years. I mean, I've put enough there that for the next, 15, 20 years, people are going to still unearth some of these Easter eggs and be like, man, how did that guy know that all the way back then? That's deliberate, but I have to do it because I can't, I have to avoid going to jail. I can't say certain things in certain ways because I can get in trouble.
I get that. And I can appreciate that. With 5 minutes to go here.
Thank you, Ms. Wyatt.
But with 5 minutes to go here before we have to let you go for the night, as you move forward and as the whole entire game moves forward, you said that we're going to see new names, new faces, new people coming out. Does this mean that there are going to be the next James Lukatsky or Lou Elizondo stepping out into the forefront to take this over? Like you've already mentioned Sean Cahill. I realize there's names you can't give because that's their call to come out.
There will be
publicly.
another Lou Elizondo. Yeah, but it has to be at that person's time and choosing, and I'm not going to rush that to happen.
Do you consider yourself a whistleblower, or just an American patriot who has a story to tell?
Man, I consider myself a father first, a husband second, a patriot third. Everything else doesn't matter. It's a label. Doesn't really matter. I did what I did.
How do you? And this is going to sound like a maybe a little bit immature question, but how do you sleep at night knowing what you know and knowing what you cannot say?
I don't sleep.
Is it hard?
I don't sleep. No. I mean, that's why I look like this. I joke to people, look, before I started this job, I was, 6'4", long blonde hair. I mean, I'm only 27. Look at me, right? No, in seriousness, I don't know what a good night's sleep is in a long time, unfortunately, for many reasons.
Do you ever see a day when you'll be able to have a good night's sleep again?
Well, I suppose ultimately when I'm dead, right? I'll have plenty of time.
Well, besides that one, because that one kind of sucks.
Well, I sure hope so. That's definitely be nice. It's a luxury I can't afford right now, but yeah, I sure hope so.
2.5 minutes. What do you want the UFO public to know about what is going on or what we've dropped? I mean, you don't have a lot of time left that you're going to be in the public eye. What is the message you have for them?
You're winning. You're winning. You're winning. You're achieving the unachievable. Congratulations. That's the message I would impart to them. Don't stop. Keep raising hell.
Even though we don't know how it's going to affect humanity.
Sure. There's a lot of things that we do. We don't know the end result, but we do it anyways because we think it's in, best interest of our species. Look, if that's the case, then we never would have flown. We never would have got into an airplane for the first time and spun the propeller and took off and had air beneath our wings because we could die, we could crash, right? We never would have went to space. We never would have went to the moon. All these things that make the species so great and so wonderful. We don't know how that's going to turn out. Most of the time you don't. In fact, most heroes are failures until the last 5 minutes of the movie, right? It's failure, and only at the last minute do you succeed, and that's the human story. So, no, we don't know how things. But then again, I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I don't. I mean, I hope I do. I think I will, but I really, does anybody really know that answer? No. So, we still pursue the truth.
And your truth will continue to move on, Lou. With a minute to go here, the best summary of your last 4 years in 30 seconds. What would you like to say?
What can I say on air? Absolute white knuckle, terrifying chaos with a few moments of a beautiful rainbow and enlightenment.
We're all going to be reading into that for a long, long time, but that's what it's all about. Mr. Luis Elizondo, thank you so much for your time on Spaced Out Radio. We really do appreciate you coming on and making this just a wonderful, wonderful night of radio, and really appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Dave. Honor and privilege, and to your amazing audience. Let me just say out there to the ladies out there, Thank you for getting involved. We need more. Thank you.
Luis Elizondo, everybody. Coming up next, Nicole Sackage helps break down the last 90 minutes of radio. Then we get to hour number 3, where we'll enter the swamp. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Good job, boss.
Hey,
Good
Dave,
job.
thank you so much. I'm gonna try to hit the head. If I hit the bathroom first, and then hit the bed. I'm hurting pretty bad. So thank you for sticking it with me, and not giving me too much crap for not having to wear a jacket like a little old man. And I do appreciate it. Hopefully, next time we chat, I'll be in a little bit better shape.
Next time we chat, there better be some chin hair there rather than the full beard. That's all I'm going to say.
I can probably arrange that.
Highly disappointed by the lack of chin hair, Lou, but that's just me.
I'll work on that.
My friend,
thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye. There he goes. Nicole, you ready? All right, we've got the thumbs up. How you doing? You're still looking like you're ready for Vegas.
I thought about, I thought about joining like this. This is how everybody saw me for the last 2 days, right? I think I slept in these, but yeah, they're ready. No, I still have my nice raspy Vegas voice going on too, but we'll be all right. It's honestly because I was sitting here going, whoa, where's my notebook? Take notes, everybody. Like all through the first hour and a half. So, wow.
That was a good time.
About that?
That was a good time. We'll break it down here coming up here in a little bit.
Here. My
little alien mug.
Yep. First time on air.
Damn it, I forgot to put the on-air sign on.
Hey.
Hold on. Let's,
hold up.
Move over to area 51 right there. Oh, goodness. Oh, can't save that. Like that? Does that show? That doesn't show anything. God damn it.
Let the gnome hold it.
The gnome can't hold anything.
No, tape it to his hat.
I'll put that right there for you.
Here, I need to turn on.
I've got all. Human Carl's here. Human Carl has entered the chat room. He doesn't say hello, Dave, but he sure as hell says hello. Hey, Nicole. Human Carl. God damn, I love that Human Carl.
I know. I stalk him in other chat rooms just so everybody knows. I just drop in and I'm like, has anybody seen Human Carl? I know he's around here somewhere. And then he finds me. There it is. Right
my
there.
Area 51 dirt right there.
Yep. Possible alien specimen, you mean? Contaminant.
Possible.
Alien contaminant.
Oh, look, there's little Katie Moonbeam, Paige Grabowski right there.
Oh, Katie. I was actually talking about her earlier today and how awesome she is. You know,
she is pretty awesome.
Katie, we had a little sidebar conversation, and actually it's amazing because, you know, I shared parts of my anthology with her, and she actually tuned into something and asked me a question that nobody has ever asked me in 15 years. So on the nose, by the way, it was an on the nose question. I didn't even have to answer her. And now we're bonded for life. We're like this.
Yeah.
I'll be right back with 1 nanosecond, Dave. Let me let in my Buster Beast.
I was chatting with Katie earlier this evening, and we have promised to sing Paradise City together in Denver at the MUFON Symposium. Take me down to the Paradise City, everyone. Yeah. That's the way, where the aliens are green and the girls are pretty. There we go. I know you're laughing, Katie Grabowski. I can hear you right now. Uh-huh.
Honestly, kind of like our Vegas event, this MUFON symposium in Denver is sounding like it's going to be quite the gathering, honestly, of people speaking and just going to hang out and be there and network. And, I'm excited. I'm mad that I can't go because I have so much other things going on in July. But I'm going to be there in spirit or figure out a way to hologram myself in.
Oh, I hear you.
Friends. I'm going to talk to them.
All right. We got like 10 seconds here. No, I don't, Sovereign Farts. She has done absolutely great and will continue to be a fantastic wrench. Thank you. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott, and we very much appreciate you tuning on in. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Joining me tonight, well, you know what? I'm just going to say screw it and make the announcement. I have a good friend with me named Nicole Sackage. And for people who do not know about Nicole and I, she is literally my best friend through all of this. Yeah, she may even shed a tear here. Yeah. She puts on the war paint for us when she has to. She's an incredible researcher. She's an incredible, incredible writer. And her and I talk literally almost every day regarding Spaced Out Radio, regarding absolutely everything. And finally, after this weekend, she has joined our Spaced Out Radio team as a special advisor in putting the business side and the programming side, which she's going to be learning very, very soon. So, Nicole, congratulations and welcome to the Spaced Out Radio team. And it's about damn time is what I'm going to say. I've only been nagging you for about 3.5 years now. So thank you for coming on in.
I shared this around to a couple of my friend groups, experiencer friend groups, and I received nothing back except like waves of love and light about, Spaced Out Radio being such a supporter of our community and giving people like me voices and a platform to share our truths. And, this does kick over to Lou a little bit when he said we're winning. Like that felt like it was to me and like all these groups of people, behind the scenes that really push these issues and try to get our truths out there as opposed to like a Hollywood version or a gossip version, a hearsay of pop culture smash up of stuff. So, it's a blessing. And honestly, Dave, over the past years, I've been like, I wish I could devote more. I want to do so much. I want to say yes to everything. And I'm that kind of person though. When you work with me or I work with you or collaborate, it's like, I have to give that 200%. And I never wanted to go all in with you and only be able to give 100%. So it's just that perfect time of, finding my place in the community and being able to kind of step away from the restaurant at the end of the universe a little bit. And yeah, the timing was right. The feeling was right. All the chips are in places in the right places. And it was time. So I'm so glad you didn't like stop asking me over the years. Like,
No, I couldn't. You know what? Let's get right to it because we have a lot of business behind the scenes that we need to talk about. But that is for not being in front of the microphone. That's for being
Right.
behind.
We'll
But
get to
tonight,
that.
tonight with Lou Elizondo, I think we saw a very human side of him, especially in this last half hour. You
Yeah,
could
man.
feel the emotion that was kind of creeping through the entire area there. And I got to tell you, criticism aside of what he says or doesn't say aside, I couldn't imagine the weight of stress on his shoulders. I really couldn't.
No, I mean, just briefly, he touched, and I don't know if you saw me down in the little thumbnail behind the scenes when, he rattled through a few reasons and he said, ultimately, this is for his children and his children's children, so they have some answers. And, I've said that before as to why I came out kind of publicly. It's, I can spend 25 years or 20 years behind the scenes looking for answers for myself, but it's like I came forward to do this for my son so he doesn't have to wander around the way I did for decades. And so he can have a network of people he can turn to for answers. So that was a brilliant part. And I don't know, maybe his fever kicked in a little bit. So we saw that personal side come through. I think it's great. It was a very, we put people up on these pedestals in our community, and none of us have the ultimate answers to the ultimate questions. And I think Lou showed that, he's not like this nefarious person, like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. He is one of us. And that's something that Grant Cameron and I, say often. All these guys up in the right places, they're just like us. They just want answers, and they're in that place to get those answers, whether or not they can share them, that comes with time. So that was a really special moment for me. You're right. The last 20 minutes, he talked about his family and what it means to come forward, and, why. I have said this before. Is it going to take a whistleblower going to prison? Is that what it's going to take? And, it's not what it's going to take. Although that would have ramifications that we can't even imagine, but it's still, we can't ask that of anybody that comes forward. We can't even ask them to tell us, to break anything, break an oath, break a vow. It's just awful. And we should be thankful anytime people come forward in a capacity that he has or that Jim Semivan has. And that was another name. Like, he dropped Hal Putoff's name tonight. And, there are people in our community that have been doing their part for a very, very long time. And they get tore down or called liars or whatever it is, whatever that, backlash MO is. And so to come forward and stay forward and keep contributing to this community takes guts and it takes fortitude, because there are plenty of people that don't want to have anything to do with our community because of that factor. And so, we're winning. We got to keep doing what we're doing.
My goodness, I didn't expect Lou to out me.
That I was like, I thought of like 700 ways to blow up your phone with excitement over that. I was like, no, don't disturb Dave during the show.
I was like, my God.
I did a happy dance for you, though, if that makes you feel better. Could you feel that? I did an astral projected happy dance.
Yes. No, seriously, though, I honestly didn't expect him to kind of out me on that, because when I was talking to my sources within the Canadian government, they literally asked me, do you know how to get a hold of Lou Elizondo?
Right.
And I said, yes, I do. And they said, would you mind contacting him to see if he would like to speak with us? And I was like, I can. And what's in it for me?
you mentioned that you and I talk most days, and that's something that you didn't leak to me directly, but you were telling me, like, you gave me your own little Easter eggs. And as soon as he said that, it was like the waterfall of all the dots connecting. And I swim in this Canadian universe of working with Grant and you, and it's like some of my other most favorite people in the entire planet are Canadians. So just knowing like Grant's anthology of work, and what you've been bear poking behind the scenes with your sources, honestly, this in my opinion is just huge. I mean, if Canada were to come forward with any news, to me it would be just as important as hearing, Biden make some announcement or some other US government underling. But this is exciting because we've had, this push from the US, Canada's come forward, Brazil, I believe, has even come forward like with their government, and people are asking the right questions. That's not even to mention like across the pond over in the ocean, there's all these pushes for disclosure from various countries. And Lou said that as well in his talk. This is not a United States thing. And that is sort of an echo that you hear or you have heard from other players in this community, especially at the start of the Nimitz tapes, coming publicly. You heard a lot of, how can I say this without calling people out directly and stepping on toes? But here, one of my favorite people that everybody loves to ignore is Jack Sarfati. And whether you follow his rhetoric or not, his theoretical physics background does lend some weight to speaking with other countries and, people like that. And that is something he has said over and over again, that Russia, China, various other countries, they're already paying attention to this. They don't need the okay from the United States government. They have their own phenomenon. And so it's just nice to hear that like echoed from Lou, honestly, because we already know that. Those of us in the community know that.
I'm very curious. I mean, there were very few breadcrumbs that he dropped. And when I do an interview, I try and, really push off of what the person is saying. Mm-hmm. And I can say that it was nice to know there's new news coming in the next little bit here, that we are going to be hearing more people speak. I think that we also got to the fact that he is pushing for Sean Cahill to take over the public side of speaking about this subject and about the phenomena as it moves forward. I think Sean is a very logical and smart choice. And for people like myself and Nicole, who really got to know Sean this weekend, I think I'm comfortable in saying, and I think you would be too, Nicole, please correct me if I'm wrong, that it is a logical choice due to the way how eloquently he speaks and the command that he has of explaining information. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good step.
I agree. And there are a lot of people in our community that choose to stay in the background. And, well, let me kick this reference over to our friend Bob McGuire, because I don't think he'll mind being a reference. But you have people in our community like Bob and like Lou and various others. They may be retired, they may be out of it, but they still have links and ties, And you often find that people like that in our community will buddy up with somebody like me. I'll just say like me, somebody that can probe into areas of the woo and high strangeness and dive in a little bit more. And I say this not necessarily in a straight reference to like Bob McGuire, like he wants to try psilocybin. But, there's opportunities to explore like your woo side that some people in our community can't do, So I think when we find like these partnerships, there's always the one that can maybe explain it to a wider audience better, and who can also dive in and get more hands-on and dirty than some. And I say dirty in the sense of like exploring contact modalities and talking with people on the fringe of this high strangeness that, you know, you may or may not want to be an associated rabbit hole with certain people. So it's always good to have like that antenna out there. So I think Sean and Lou working together in that kind of capacity is a natural thing. And I think after, especially after this time spent, you know, it's always different when you talk with somebody and then you get to see them like face to face and body language, and all your little woo sensors can come into play and you can gauge somebody better. And, you know, the Mystic Lion is a perfect name. So there you go.
Mystic Lion. Yes.
The Mystic Lion. I wish I would have known Lou's nickname for him. And I think he has said it before, but it wasn't fresh in my mind. But when he walked into our little SOR space and the hair was, like the tone of the room changed. It was like, and now that I think about it, it's like when Simba got held up in The Lion King. So there you go, little lion. You're going to do great for our community. Going to do well.
I think it's going to be awesome. Nicole Sakic is our guest right now, breaking down Lou. What did you take the most out of what Lou said? You know, and I do want to pat ourselves on the back here, because for a number of months, Lou confirmed something that we have been saying for months, pretty much a year now, that Sean Cahill was the next one. And Lou pretty much confirmed that Sean would be stepping up to the ranks here. So I am going to pat ourselves on the back for that piece of information. But what did you take out of that, of what he was saying about the fear that he had, not for the phenomena itself in showing itself, but that there are some very, very strong thoughts on what is going to happen to humanity regarding this? And you've heard it. We've talked about it on the roundtables. Nicole will probably talk about it again tomorrow night, where we've heard about how is this going to affect the economy? How is this going to affect religion? How is this going to affect the military-industrial complex? How are ordinary people going to react to this? You know, are they going to go raid toilet paper and Metamucil again? I mean, we don't know. We don't know. I took that quite strongly, those comments tonight.
You know, I did too. That was a powerful comment. But you know what? Almost instead of setting it there like, I took it as a homework assignment. Honestly, it was like, Lou just gave us some homework. You know, he told us we're winning. He gave us a homework assignment earlier, and that homework is us in this community and experiencers that have chosen to step into the spotlight and be public. That's our homework. We have to translate this phenomenon for the masses. Whether they believe us now or they go back, you know, in 15 and 20 years and rewatch shows like yours, like we all rewatch and listen to Art Bell, you know, something in there like these concentric circles and waves of understanding are going to start happening, which is also what the phenomenon does, you know? So we all have our parts to play. You know, he did say he's stepping out of the limelight. He's not going away. He's not going to be gone for good. And I can relate to that. Like everybody inevitably asks good researchers, like, why don't you have your own show? Why don't you have a podcast? Why don't you do this for YouTube? And, you know, honestly, I think everybody wants to. They want to be able to share that and get their research out to mass people, you know, in a click. But then in order to do that sort of avenues, it also does take away so much from your work. Like you're digging in, talking to people, traveling, reading books. It's everything that you need to do to research something gets taken away from as soon as you have to worry about a YouTube channel, think of a thumbnail, all this various stuff that doesn't really mean anything to your message in the end. Like, so it's like this tug and pull. And so for him to say that he's stepping out of the limelight so he can get back to work, I completely understand that. You have to do that sometimes. I would say it's more of like taking a pause or a break, because you also know people say they leave this community and then they never do. They come back somehow, it might be years, it might be months, however it is. We all get burnout, or we all feel like we need to step back. The only person I've known successfully that has been like, I'm out, and has stayed out is Bill Moore. And he's been out of the game for 35 plus years. People try to drag the man back in, and he's like, no, I'm done. So unless you're going to pull a Bill Moore, and statistically that hasn't happened, nobody's ever gone for good, especially when they're in this community for the right reasons. And Lou's in this community for the right reasons. He's like setting up the footballs for people to kick down the field, and somebody's catching it and running. I'm terrible with sports analogies, so I'll stop. But
you're doing well. You're doing well. So far, it's making sense.
Well, now, instead of one person celebrating in the goalpost area, there's going to be like a party of experiencers back there. Like, this is happening. And Lou has said certain things, and everything that he said has come to fruition. And we truth tellers always have those moments. It's like, yeah, you did. People just didn't believe me that I was being that honest and open and truthful. And so you get to have your little like, aha, I told you so moment. And that's always fun. So until people like just accept that that's part of your personality, that you're not telling the truth just this one time, then they start, like he said, people for the next, 10 to 15, 20 years are going to be able to go back and analyze everything that he said and still pull out Easter eggs. And he's set us up for like 2 more decades worth of future Easter eggs. So let's, that's part of the homework too. Spread the truth, find the Easter eggs, dig in. And honestly, that's something that diligent researchers do all the time. I mean, you think Grant Cameron has all the answers all the time? No, but he's been doing it so long that when something clicks, he can go back to something he was doing 20 years ago and connect the dots. So there you go. That's what we're going to do right now and for the foreseeable future. I'm so excited. And then if he gets anything really good, he'll come back or announce it to Sean. And he didn't just put this whole gauntlet on Sean Cahill's shoulders either. Sean has counterparts. That's exciting. Whether they come forward or not as publicly as Sean has, it's still good to know that there's a team and not an individual. So I'm excited.
Well, me too. 90 seconds. What do you take out of tonight?
Honestly, it was the 15 to 20 years worth that could still come out. That's the golden little egg for me right now. It's, he said it. It's not going to stop in 2 months or, every time a president changes. That was kind of what I was thinking. This is beyond that. It's beyond the party lines. Like, this is happening. Where we thought this football got dropped 20 years ago with the Disclosure Project. Yeah, they've now done the 60-yard pass for a touchdown. So,
yeah. I think I will take out of this is looking at Lou, he looks burnt out. He looks done, and the weight on his shoulders is very, very tight. You could tell if you read between the lines, you could tell that he wants to say more. He can't say more, and I think he's tired of being handcuffed. Therefore, it's time to move back into the sunset and continue to work on the other side without the public pressure. But thank you, Nicole, for coming on and breaking down tonight's interview. We will talk to you tomorrow night on the
My pleasure.
round table. And coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. We got the resident swamp dweller coming on in with another spooky story about a hunting trip gone wrong. Then, Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is back. His mullet is looking beautiful, his beard unscathed from a Bigfoot conference in Nebraska. Third hour of Spaced Out Radio is next. You're a weirdo.
I just, once I heard that little in that, I always hear it. So I have to add on.
I'm going to be changing those up pretty soon. I'll let you talk to the audience while I go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. You can chat.
The chat was moving so fast tonight while I was getting ready to be the second hour. And yeah, I had my earphones in and put makeup on so I don't look like a sea hag. But it was so fun, like reading and seeing the chat move so fast. And it's like my Vegas Soul family, of course, is now in the chat for good. And Katie got a wrench and Grant Tavanus got a wrench. And Grant, that is always going to be my call out to you in the chat room. It's going to be, honey, where's my super suit? So that's so funny. But, there was a lot of new people in the chat room too. And I know all the wrenches were kind of going crazy. You guys did a good job tonight, I think. And anytime there's somebody that's controversial like Lou, we've had these moments and online, where it's erupted badly, and I don't know if talking about this helps the situation at all, but the blast out radius of bad chat room stuff tends to get more attention than the Easter eggs or those golden nuggets that happened during the interview. So I think that's why, the warnings came out and there was pauses and just things like that, because we never want a situation like that to happen where the chat room drama is the real news instead of the news. So thank you guys for doing your job tonight. And thank you to everybody in the chat room, honestly, because it was good. It moves fast and big groups like this, can be hard to cat herd. So manners are always nice everywhere in life. So thank you, YouTubers, for having nice manners. It's appreciated. Comes with the turf, Does anybody, what was the audience's skull blown open moment? Was there any moment like that? I always got to take a moment to read and let it scroll through. Oh, we're still talking wrenches. Or I have a very bad lag. That might be it as well. Maybe I can't do direct talking to the chat room without another device going. But, and I want to say thank you to everybody who's kind of welcomed me into the Spaced Out Radio family. I know for a long time, people maybe were like, well, what's Nicole's role in Spaced Out Radio? It's like, and I don't really have a clear role, except that I am around to help and I'm available. And yeah, the team is in place and I just hope that I'm here. I'll go a little rogue woman on you. I want to be a support bra, not one of those weird ones that you have to have 17 straps to put on, but a bra that was made by a woman for a woman. So that'll kind of be my role. And honestly, anytime you have something that is this successful, there's always a moment in time where you're going to level up and kick it up to the next level. And I hope that that's what I'm a part of. So exciting things to come. I'm so happy to be part of this group. of, I don't know, what do you call us? Are we your personal pack of space travelers, or what is this Spaced Out Radio family we have going on?
I don't know. I don't know. Chris Holm wants to know, when are you going to grow a beard, Nicole?
Well, since I don't like beards, I tell everybody to shave their stuff off all the time. Like Dave needs to shave. Lou got rid of that, and I was like, yeah, about time. So my equivalent is my Sasquatch leg hair, which, our friend Grant Happiness shaved off his lip blade, and he was like, whatever, it'll be back in 3 days.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to place a side bet of like, I can have my Sasquatch leg hair back faster than 3 days.
Well, I think what we should say to the public is we are putting more pressure on ourselves behind the scenes. I shouldn't even call it pressure, more focus, I should say, behind the scenes on building the business side of Spaced Out Radio. And Nicole is going to play a major part of that moving forward. And I am going to be working more with our shows and our product that goes on. And, we have some good stuff coming on up very soon that we are going to be announcing. So
you can admit it if you want. You only want me for my Rolodex. My massive networking capabilities.
Yes. I want you for your leg hair and your Rolodex. Yes.
That's it. Okay. You got it. It's all yours. Yeah. You'll get my bag of leg hair. Next time.
Nicole, I got to say good night to you, but we'll talk tomorrow on the SOR Roundtable. Yep. And much love. We'll see you then.
Everybody. Thank you.
All right. Let's get ready for Swamp Dweller, and then we'll bring in Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. Here we go, everyone.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Odyssey Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Palestra. Palestra is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time to head to the swamp, where we bring in our resident swamp dweller for another spooky story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. Full disclosure, I've never seen a cryptid, nor do I have the desire or inclination to. But there is a reason I am armed when I am in the wilderness. Usually, I carry a .45 ACP with jacketed hollow points and a hatchet, both as a tool and potential weapon. Cryptids, and things that go bump in the night, so to speak, are no reason to avoid the mountains or those wild places the boldest or most adventurous among us choose to go. My experiences are all gut feeling. The way I see it, You have instincts and awareness for a reason. Your senses, including intuition and a sixth sense, what I refer to as your gut, keep you alive. I'm an avid bow hunter, and it was an alone hunting trip that this occurred on. It was the second day of the trip, and I had not run into a whole lot or had a shot opportunity yet. Thinking the elk were at a lower elevation, I set out on the afternoon hunt into a valley. There's a creek and a small lake down there, where the two slopes on either side come together. Trees were starting to grow back up, so it was thick, with young pines about 6 feet high or so, and high grasses. And I mean thick. Some of the clusters of trees were so tightly packed you could not have gotten through them if you tried. In some places, there was only a foot or two squeezing between the trees. I had a bad feeling before walking down the hill, but it was the first time I had hunted alone, so I wanted to face my fear and do it anyway. As much as I talk about awareness and instinct, sometimes it is really an irrational fear made up in your head, and I thought this was one of those times. The thick vegetation I mentioned does not start further until down the slope, filling in any gap it can find. I hesitated a little bit when I got into it. It seemed dark. There was a thunderstorm coming in, so it was darker than usual, but something about it seemed so unnatural, like it was some sort of threshold into the abyss, as if walking into the thick vegetation meant crossing into some dark realm. I know, it sounds dramatic, and I admit to being a novelist, so I tend toward the dramatic when I talk about something like this, fiction or otherwise. But that is the way it felt. As I said, I was thinking that it was irrational, a stupid and childish fear, so I pulled myself together and took the first step in. Every step in feels worse and worse, like crossing over into a point of no return. If I go any further, I'm not coming back out. Not wanting to give in to it and have a good hunt, I tentatively throw out a bugle call from my grunt tube, a tube used for calling bull elk, mimicking their bugles and grunts. That is when it got bad. It is like the tone of the force just drops. Think of this in the terms of emotional tone, like a piece of music and how it affects a scene in a film. The forest around me goes dead quiet. Not a single sound. This sometimes happens when a low-pressure storm system goes through the area. The animals stay quiet until it passes, but it also happens when a predator comes into an area. I went from being uneasy to being terrified, a sense of utter dread building up inside of me. There was a presence here, a dark aura, and it was moving towards me as my bugle jolted into action. And it was close. It is not a feeling of being watched. I've had that before. It was more like whatever it was had a bead on me, and it was closing in. I could feel it coming. I could feel it creeping in. It is the kind of fear I have never felt before. A sudden, deep-seated terror. I turned around and started my way up the hill. I did not run, but I moved with purpose. It is one thing I have learned in my life, that in dire situations, the worst thing you can do is panic. So as much as I wanted to drop my bow and run, I stayed as calm as I could. Yes, part of me was still thinking that it was irrational, but the rest of me was stone cold terrified. I did not dare look behind me. I could still feel it back there, like I was being hunted, like I was being stalked, and I felt mortally exposed after leaving the thick vegetation. After that, it is nothing but tufts of grass and dying lodgepole pines. Right about there, I started walking faster, but there was not as much of a sense of urgency. Still, I did not stop until I got back to my truck at the top of the hill. I remember giving a few glances behind me or to the side, but I cannot say for sure. Obviously, it seems odd that I did not run. I can see the comments now. If you were so afraid, why didn't you just run? Whatever it was wanted to kill me, and I could feel it. I knew it as clearly as I know a car when I see it. The worst thing I could possibly do was bolt out of there with a heavy pack on my back, twigs and branches snapping from being stomped on, trees waving around when I passed them, or push branches out of the way trying to get through. All of that would be telegraphed exactly where I was. And I had no intention of being torn apart on the mountain, and looking back on this, it is exactly what I would have imagined have happened. On the way back to camp, I expected whatever it was to come out onto the road, and my imagination came up with the worst possible things. A dark and vicious creature hell-bent on tearing me limb from limb. A really heavy rainstorm with a lot of wind came in later that evening, and I figured I got rained out and didn't want to get crushed by a falling tree while I sleep. It would have been a good excuse as any to leave, and I guess that would make sense to ending my trip early to everybody else. But what I really wanted was to get out of there, as far away as I could, and I'm never going to forget what happened. I was kicking myself the whole way home, thinking maybe I was being cowardly, being run off the mountain the way I had been. I am the kind of guy that faces my fears, faces the difficulties of life with determination and sheer force of will. Naturally, I beat myself up over this, like I betrayed myself in my goals. But I think it is a reminder of what could be out there in the wilderness. Things we do not know about, things we cannot quite explain, things that are deadly. And while I am not going to stop hunting, or stop my backpacking and fishing trips, I'm going to be more alert, because the fact is, I do not know what could be out there, and I'm not going to bet my life on some stupid skepticism. There was something out there with me that afternoon. I don't care what anybody has to say about it.
And we say thank you to another exciting edition from the swamp, from a resident swamp dweller, storyteller of all things spooky. You can find him on YouTube at Swamp Dweller Reads. I highly suggest you hit that subscribe button. I listen literally every night because it's just that entertaining. All right, it is time once again where we head to the beautiful mountains of Montana, where the mullet-wearing Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is ready to bring us the Cryptid Report. All right, Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is here. Comes in a couple times a week to ham it on up with us with another historic, spooky cryptid story. Duke, how was your conference in Nebraska?
It was lots of fun. It was surprising and it was exhausting. It took 27 hours to ride here from Missoula to Hastings, Nebraska by bus. And we had a windstorm the whole way. It started basically as we left Missoula, and then by the time we got out to Wyoming early in the morning, we were getting 50, 60 mile an hour gusts. And, you know, a bus reacts to that like a sail. So the bus is doing this thing all day long, like a shark going through the water. And it was pretty horrifying. And then we got into Denver and headed east across Nebraska, and it did the same thing the whole way there. So it was just a nightmare, plus 4 transfers and way too long on the bus. And I'm on full disability. So with my messed up back, and special thanks to Gary Spikes Jr., who donated a really nice back brace to me, which is the only reason my back was, in any kind of shape at all when I got there. And also one quick shout out to Bigfoot in Germany, Robert Boston, who's in chat right now, and was one of the topics of conversation on Sunday's show on my channel, where me and Dave were both there, even though we weren't here. And everybody really enjoyed that show. Some blood pressures went up in the audience, Dave.
Oh yeah. I will say that as well. I'm sure I haven't even checked the comments yet. I'm sure I'm just getting ripped a new one there.
No, actually, you're going to get a whole pile of new subscribers. So I figured that's the way it would work out.
Oh my. Well, that's nice.
I have a very crabby audience that knows exactly what's going on. And when they hear somebody talk about it, they get all riled up and they go, "Gosh darn it, I'm going to go sub that channel."
Well, hey, I don't know what the heck happened there, man. I just ran with it. You told me to run with it, and I ran with it. So, hey.
Well, hey, man, as long as you're on a world tour and you've already done 4 or 5 gigs with the same set, you're getting really good at it. Now's the time to have you on the show, see? That's what I was thinking. And everybody thought the same thing when they heard it. They really appreciated it. So anyway, the rest of the conference thing went really smoothly. It was a great time. The lady that puts it on, as I'm sure Robin mentioned last night, is Harriet. And she's got a little Bigfoot museum there in Hastings, Nebraska, of all strange places. Got a lot of really cool stuff in there. And then a great big garden out in back that's got a walkway and interpretive, all kinds of this and that. And, like this is what a teepee structure looks like. Pictures of all kinds of things. She's on the Congressional Registry as a historical landmark now. And she's the one that puts on the conference. Me and Ron Moorhead were chief presenters on it. And it was great to see him. And, he still puts on a great presentation, even though he's been running around doing it forever. And one of the things I didn't expect to happen is to actually have Bigfoot activity there. We weren't staying at a hotel. Me, Chrissy Sci-Fi, Robin McCrae, and her husband, Pat, were all staying at the Bigfoot Museum because the whole bottom of it is basically a whole separate house that doesn't get used most of the time. So we all stayed there. So we're at this Bigfoot Museum, and there's all this Bigfoot stuff there. And we were still having this terrible windstorm. So 50, 60 mile an hour winds, even though it wasn't raining. If it had been precipitation, it would have been going horizontal. So when you went outside to have a cigarette, you couldn't even light it. The lighter wouldn't work, not enough flame. And as we were out there, Christy started noticing a couple of them in the backyard. And I couldn't see them with my craptacular vision, but she could spot them back there. So she started talking to them. And then we went back into the house, and later on about 2 a.m, she was asleep. I came out to have another cigarette, and I was standing there looking toward the back garden, and they had just built a new wheelchair accessible way to get in there. So they had really nice new sidewalks. And the sidewalk goes back about 30 feet, and then it splits and it makes a Y. And I'm looking at that spot, and right there at above my eye level, I see this flash of eye shine as something turns its head. And then I heard it tried to say something, but the wind was so loud I couldn't hear it. So I just said, "Hey there, how you doing?" And gonna finish my cigarette. He didn't get any closer or anything. But apparently the following morning, Robin got up to run over to Walmart to get some supplies that we needed. And when she got back, she noticed fingerprints on 3 of the windows on Christy's rental car that she drove over there. And my supposition is whatever it was made the prints the night before. And as soon as she did that nice dusty half-mile drive there and back again, the dust from the road picked up on their greasy fingerprints. So when she got back, she could actually see them. So then the next thing was, well, Christy's going to take off here shortly. We got to do something to get these fingerprints off there. So we grabbed some nice transparent tape, found a little pane of glass, and I carefully lifted all the fingerprints off and stuck them on the pane of glass. So if you go to the Bigfoot Museum there in Hastings, Nebraska, you can see that too from when we were there. And the activity continued until I left. Every night they were out there making noise and stuff. Robin saw one of them walk past their window toward the other side of the house, which is where I was standing outside talking to Christy on the cell phone. So yeah, a lot of activity around there, and bizarre place for it too. But yeah, there you go.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you had a great weekend. We had a great weekend. I know you would have been in Las Vegas with us if you didn't have the Nebraska conference, and you were missed. We had great talks on Sasquatch with Nate and Corey Rudd, the father-son team from Washington, Idaho Bigfoot Society, or whatever they're called, something like that. And Carter Bouchard came out as well and broke it on down. I want to ask you this, because Carter said something very interesting in regards to the camouflage of Sasquatch. He says one of the possibilities he's looking into is that Sasquatch may have hollow hair, which means that when it turns into the light, it kind of absorbs the light and causes almost a reflection of the forest. What do you think about that?
Here's where I break ranks with Robin. I agree completely, because I know a bunch of friends that have had hair samples, and everyone from a person that works for forestry in Canada to people down in Florida that I personally know that have collected hair samples. And one of the things I like to do is I go, okay, look at this thing carefully. Does it have a medulla? Well, it doesn't seem to. Okay, now put any color object underneath it and expose it to light and see what happens. Hey, It just faded away. It looks like the color of the object underneath it. Yeah. It's not that the hair is transparent. It has color to it. But once you go get the light through it, whatever color is next to it, it'll pick it up. And that's one of the reasons they can blend so spectacularly, because the part of them that's in the light, whatever it's near, it's going to be that color. So that tends to break up their outline really good. All they have to do is just sit still. If they're underneath a tree, they're going to look like a shadow. If they're standing next to a tree, the part of them that's standing next to the tree is going to be the color of the tree. It's just that it's proximity and light, apparently, that does it. Because you can take one of their hairs and you can hold it next to any color and put light on it, and it will seem to become that color. And that's similar to the way polar bear hair is. Like polar bears look white, but they're not really. Their skin is yellow, and their hair tends to pick up the color of the surroundings, which is why it looks white, because the surroundings around them are mostly white, and the hair does tend to look that way. But to a certain extent, that hair is blending too. So there's other animals that can do this sort of thing.
Yeah, very much so. I'm very, very intrigued by that comment that Carter had made, and I'm just, Duke, there's so many mysteries around this creature that I don't even know where to start, where to begin, where to end. It just seems to be right there, right in the midst of things.
Yeah, well, it's nice that there's actually enough people out there doing the research, communicating with each other now, where we can do these little things. Hey, you still got that Bigfoot hair? Go try this light test, see what happens. And you're on the phone with them while they're doing it, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, it's taking on that color. But, part of what Robin said is correct also, because there's been physical observation of Bigfoot doing some of these weird things where they just fade out of existence. They don't even move. They just disappear. And they're right out in the open. They can't be doing that with their hair. Or can they? Because another thing that's been observed is, when a cat gets startled, they can make their hair stand on end. The cat turns into a big fluff ball. Holy cow, something's here. And he poof, all of its hair pops out. Well, people have seen Bigfoot do that with their hair too. And is it because they're startled, or is it because, as Robin would say, they're raising their energy and vibrational level, and it's making their hair stand on end? Think about what static electricity does to your hair.
Oh, very true. Very true. Where do you go now? I mean, you're still in an area that's getting snow, much like my area. How long do you have to wait before you can get into your hot spots?
I can get into the lower lying areas right now. We got most of our snow melted off. We're getting the spring snowstorms now, where it comes through and dumps and melts again the next day. We got one of them coming over the pass on the way back here yesterday, which is like great timing. It's nice and sunny down in the valley. We're going up toward the pass. There's a storm, and it's blasting us with snow and sleet. And as we're coming over the pass into the next valley, no bad weather, nice and sunny again. I filmed that part.
Yeah. Yeah. We got 2 inches of snow the other day.
Yep. It looks like Wyoming got hit right before we came back. One of the gas stations, they said they had actually predicted a blizzard there. And then when it hit, it was a lot less snow than what they thought. But they still had patchy snow all over Wyoming when we were coming up through that.
Yeah, I hear you. Bud. We got about 90 seconds to go here. What's your favorite take from the Nebraska conference you were at?
Wow. I really enjoyed the whole thing. I got to meet a few people that I had never met before. I think probably my favorite moment right now was totally unexpected, that I got to interview the Boggy Creek Monster, and that is going to be coming up on my show. The guy who was in the suit in The Legend of Boggy Creek, Keith Crabtree, was there. I interviewed him, and I found out afterwards. He said, well, I was kind of nervous. Did I do okay? I mean, what are you nervous for? He goes, well, this is only the second interview I've ever done. And I'm like, are you kidding? No, he doesn't usually do interviews. Fascinating, absolutely riveting conversation. He not only wore the monster suit, he was doing some of the stunt car driving. He was an extra in the background. He was doing like the fog effects for everything. This guy was like totally involved in everything in this movie because they had no budget. So in addition to being the Boggy Creek Monster, because he was the huge guy that could fill out the suit, he was doing all this other stuff in the background. So it's just fascinating listening to all the stuff that happened during filming this movie.
Wow. Duke, where can everybody find World Bigfoot Radio?
You can find me on all the best platforms, including YouTube, and you can also find me on Brighteon, BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey. My groups are World Bigfoot Radio and Montana Bigfoot Project on Facebook, and on the MeWe platform, you can find me at World Bigfoot Central. Come on over.
We absolutely love you, Duke. We'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Next week, Giants.
Giants next week. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Super Duke for World Bigfoot Radio. Make sure you go hit subscribe on YouTube. Coming up next, it's Dave 101. What do we take away from Lou Elizondo leaving ufology? That'll be my take next on the Dave 101 on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. Good stuff there, Super Duke.
Oh, wait until you see that giant stuff I got lined up. It's all about the Solomon Islands, the hidden UFO bases, and the giants.
It's going to scare the shit out of me, aren't you?
It scared the shit out of me when I read it, because this isn't like in the dim past. It's like, oh, this report just came out 2005. It was on the news on TV in the Solomon Islands, and you're like, what? I'm not wanting to go vacationing there now.
Well, let's scratch that place off our list there, Duke.
Yeah, me too. Because if you're on shore, you've got headhunters, bone-crushing crocodiles, and if you try and swim to the next island, of course, your nemesis, the shark, eats you.
Yep. I'm just not going. It's that simple.
It's pretty much where I'm at with it too.
It is that simple. I can tell you right now, Dave is not going.
Oh yeah. Man-eating giants, bone-crushing crocodiles, and deadly sharks. I want to go vacation there.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, I will not be going there anytime soon.
Well, hey, I got good news for you. Since you guys are having your next Spaced Out Radio party on a different date in Vegas, and the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference, who's forcing me to come back next year, is having theirs on the same date as this year. That means I can go to both events. And it also means you could come to the Nebraska conference and visit with everybody too.
If they ask me to speak, I will be there.
This year's theme is going to be, believe it or not, they're retooling and re-releasing The Legend of Boggy Creek. And that's what this whole one is going to be about this year. Keith Crabtree is going to speak. A couple of the original actresses in the movie are going to speak. Lyle Blackburn, who wrote a book on it, will be there. William Lunsford, the folk monster hunter, will be there. Stephen Hill, the Sulphur River Sasquatcher, will be there. And for some unknown reason, I will be there too.
It's because of the mullet, the Bigfoot mullet.
I know it impresses the Bigfoot. They keep demanding I return. But I recorded a lot of the conference last weekend. So I've got Robin's presentation, mine, Christy Sci-Fi's, tour of the museum, and interview with the sweet little lady that owns it and the research she's done in the area. And then Keith Crabtree, the Boggy Creek monster himself.
Very cool. Very, very cool, my friend.
I was working the whole time, plus collecting Bigfoot evidence I wasn't expecting to be collecting.
Yeah, damn it, that damn Bigfoot got in the way of a good time.
I was supposed to get half a day to rest, but no, I got to let Bigfoot prints up a window now. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sasquatch. You're making extra work for me.
Exactly. Get off my lawn.
Yeah,
damn Sasquatch.
Besides the one I saw, I had one following me around when I was in the front yard, and the windstorm had died down, but we still had 30, 40 mile an hour winds. And I'm walking along smoking a cigarette, and all of it, I smell this like somebody cut one, right? But in a 30 or 40 mile an hour wind, that should last for about 1 second, and it's blown away, and you're not smelling it anymore. And this was lingering and following me. And I was like, one of you guys are right behind me, huh? I can't see you, but yeah, I can sure smell that you're there. Good job.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. That's good. Good stuff, man.
I'm glad to hear everything went so well for you on your first big get together, and I bet by the second one it's going to be totally butt kicking. And of course, that's your big 5-0, so it's got to be perfect, flawless, amazing, and awesome.
Well, I could tell you this. Going into Nevada was a little scary. we literally landed sideways.
Oh,
There was a
God.
huge windstorm there. We landed sideways and we bounced once, and then he was able to the pilot did an incredible job. The second time, he was able to keep the tires down. He slowly started bringing the aircraft straight, and then when those front wheels touched, man, they bounced back up, and then they went back down. And it's like, oh, we're on the ground. On the ground. Worst landing I've ever been a part of, but the professionalism of the pilots, that's why they get paid what they do, man, because it was a pro landing.
I got to say, same thing about the bus drivers that were driving through that horrible windstorm for the 27 hours over there, because a bus is like a huge sail,
Yep.
and you're going with it. It feels like you're on a 3-masted schooner in a typhoon with a drunken captain
Yep.
at the steering wheel. But actually, these guys were really good, because there's a couple times they should have literally been blown off the road. The bus is going sideways and they recovered right back on the road again. So I personally thanked all three of them that we didn't die on the way over there.
I bet. Super Duke, I got 10 seconds. I got to run here, buddy.
Take care, brother. We'll see you next
See
Tuesday.
you soon. Much love, bud. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate all of you tuning us on in. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where I cast my opinion on my thoughts on the Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
All right, we heard it here first that Luis Elizondo, former head of the ATIP program, the face of ufology the last 4 years, is literally about to go back into the black. And no, this isn't an AC/DC song. This is reality, as he feels his job in the public limelight is now over, or almost, for talking about UFOs to the public. Maybe not so much a bad idea, although, do we as ufology deserve good things? Look, Luis Elizondo is a polarizing person. First off, he's a spook through and through. You cannot deny that. Second off, he is talking about something that he's not allowed to talk about and gives us at times very little. Can you blame him for that? Well, people have shown their frustration. But most of all, I think we have forgotten that he is also a human with a family, children, dogs, a home, a mortgage that literally still has to run day to day, just like you and me, whether we're paying a mortgage, paying rent, paying car payments, or whatever it may be. The idea that he is stepping away, though, does make me wonder, do we in ufology deserve good things? Now, I'm not saying this to kiss Mr. Elizondo's butt, because I do think at times he has had to answer some tough questions, which he has not done. We've tried to ask those questions here. Whether we are successful or not is really up to you and your discretion as a listener. I think that we got a lot out of him. We personalized him, tried to bring the humanity towards what he is going through. And I think we were able to deliver on that subject and that topic. But at times, it makes me wonder whether or not we deserve good things in this field. For decades, we have begged and yelled from the top of the mountains that we wanted someone from the inside to come on out and tell us that everything is real, that there are government programs going on, that these subjects are being investigated and taken seriously. Whether or not we believe the stories or the videos or the information, well, that is up to you. But literally, think about this for a second. Did we scare off, we as ufology, our best asset? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Because if Elizondo is gone for good, who's going to give us the information? Now, he says that there are others coming down the walkway that may or may not choose to go public. Sean Cahill, who is a part of Skyfort with Lou Elizondo, is the likely successor. You've heard us say that on this show for almost about a year now. But you know what? I am going to miss Lou. I'm going to miss the frustration of not being able to get him on the air. I'm going to miss the conversations that we have with our audience. I'm going to miss the fact that there's always a little bit of tension coming around when Lou comes on the air. All right. Why is there tension? Because you never know what's going to go on, whether it's in the chat room or something that he says. But now, as he wraps up his public tour and then walks off into the UFO sunset, I can't help but say he made the right decision. There's been a lot that's gone on. And whether you agree with the documentary that was made about him, whether you agree or not with the amount of podcasts he went on or the amount of news he went on, whether you agree that or not that he was talking in circles, that is for you to decipher. Personally, I got a lot out of his conversations. Dealing with athletes for as long as I did in radio, the one thing that I've always tried to do is learn how to read between the lines, figure out what they're saying. Because, look, athletes are at the epitome of media cliche. And we heard a lot of cliche out of Lou. We did. There's no turning back from that. But we also heard a number of highlights from him, as was discussed tonight. Those highlights are what we are now left to study. Those highlights of what he is telling us that UFOs are real is something that we need to look back on every single video, podcast, news article, and we have to draw what he is saying. And we have to connect the dots to see the picture that it will eventually draw out. It's going to be hard work, but there's going to be people who do that. And for years, if he steps away for good, we are going to be finding those little hidden gems. Say, yes, remember when Mr. Elizondo said that? Or did not say that? Or maybe he was right, maybe he was wrong. But the fact that I am getting at tonight is we have literally bitten our own hands in ufology and lost the best asset we have ever had. Whether you're American, Canadian like I am, from the UK, Australia, New Zealand, who are part of the Five Eyes, or from other countries like Austria, Denmark, Russia, China, Japan, wherever you are from. The one thing that we have lost is an asset to our community moving forward. Now, I'm sure behind the scenes, Elizondo will stay in touch with certain people that he trusts and that he knows will have his back. And I hope that we're one of them, because it's the information behind the scenes that we are able to get out to you in bits and pieces. If that isn't the case, if he goes full on silence with the people who he has met and learned to trust over these years, then shame on us for being a part of the community that ran him out. I don't know what we want as a community anymore with UFOs. We want a government official, we get one, and we lambaste him to the point of doxing his family, his friends, and we end up screwing that up and breaking that very beautiful shiny toy that we just got for Christmas. It's not everybody's fault. The majority of ufology out there, whether or not we agreed with Elizondo, would prefer to have him in this field than not. And look, Lou can sit there and say, well, I'm going to be doing a heck of a lot more work behind the scenes than I ever could in front of the camera. Maybe to some extent that is true. But the information and that highway that it travels on has now gone under construction. And we don't know or have a timeline of when it will be fixed. Lou is leaving, in my opinion, strictly because he has a bad taste in his mouth about the entire field. Maybe we aren't mature enough, especially with all the newcomers that have come around the last 5 years, to understand the message that he is trying to draw. Now, I am trying to say this from right down the middle. I have no ties to Lou Elizondo outside of our interviews. Do I have his phone number and email? Yes, I do. Do I talk to him privately? No, I do not. And the times I have are much less than what you would think. But I will say this. I have talked to the man personally, behind the scenes, and I find that he is a very frank and good person for a spook. Don't think for a second that his modus operandi is to get the information and see what can and cannot be released by that. He plays a double-edged sword. Imagine having to live on both sides of the sword each and every day. That is very stressful. That is something that the majority of us will never experience. He would love to share the information, but law and duty says he can't. So what's more to come out? Well, everything we have said on this show for the last couple of years is pretty much what Elizondo led to right here tonight. And that is this. Humanity is not ready for disclosure. That many, if not the majority, are scared about the topic coming out because we do not know how people are going to react. We have said it numerous times on this show. It'll affect the economy. It'll affect religion. It will affect every single 7.8 million of us on this planet one way or another. And this is what we have to go by. This is what we have to learn. Are we ready for it? We weren't ready for a national or international disease like COVID. How can we be any better off with aliens? So as Luis Elizondo starts to head off into the sunset, we have to wonder, do we deserve another voice? Do we deserve Sean Cahill or someone else to take over the torch and run with the UFO world? To be our beacon of information? I don't know if we are. I feel sorry for the next person coming in, whether it is Cahill, who I will admit is now a friend of mine. Or do we continue on and wonder where the secrets are hiding, because this is so much more than just Area 51, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Dugway, or Dulce in New Mexico. This is all hidden in the Pentagon. And we need to know what is there. We deserve to know what is there. But if we keep breaking our toys like we did with Elizondo, we are going to continue to lose out. Ufology will never move forward until we bite our tongues and start to look at the bigger picture rather than the control of the smaller black and white TV that we are used to. And that is your Dave 101. Leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube. Once this is done, let us know what you think. And now, it's time to get to Shirky Poo's news. All right, let's start off in Livonia, Michigan, where parents are outraged at the Grand River Academy when a kindergartner brought ready-to-drink Jose Cuervo margaritas for snack time, and multiple students sat around and drank them. One of the parents is Alexis Smith. Her and another mom, Dominique Zanders, were baffled when they found out what happened. Smith's daughter had a Dixie cup full of the drink and said she had 4 or 5 sips. She felt a little woozy, a little dizzy, Zanders said. Each of the daughters thought they were given juice during snack sessions when they were really drinking pre-made margaritas brought by a kindergartner classmate. The girl poured it into her cup and she drank it, and the girl ended up telling her what it is. And she went and told the teacher there is liquor in this cup, and the teacher gave her a little funny face, Zanders said. The little girl had brought the single-serve pre-made Jose Cuervo cocktail with her to school. Excuse me. In a backpack. Well, how else is a kid going to take it? Now, oh my goodness, where did that come from? Now, let's see here. I had a small conversation with my daughter, nothing big, and she told me the girl knew it was liquor. The parents, understandably angry, but not with the child, they were directing their feelings towards the school officials. How? It's not the Grand River Academy's fault. They want to know how it could have happened. Well, it's easy. The kid found one of those pre-made packs, put it in the lunch kit because probably saw mom or dad. I mean, do we have to be that naive? The school obviously is not supporting this or condoning this. While we try to keep an eye on everything our students bring to school, that is simply not possible. It's unfortunate these types of adult beverages can be easily mistaken for child-friendly drinks. The school called Poison Control to take the correct steps. I'm not sure if they are short-staffed or whatever. It shouldn't have happened. Oh my God, they're going Karen over this. Look, Smith and Zanders, you're trying to be good parents here. All right? How about instead of blaming the school, you blame the other kids' parents for not putting it on the top shelf where grandma keeps her candies. You know, those hard ones that you can ever eat. They'll break your teeth in your jaw before you actually, get down to softening them. This is the parents' fault. It's not the school's fault. The school can't do everything. All right? I don't understand parents like that. I understand being upset. Trust me, I do. But this is the parents of that child. Hit them up. All right, let's see where this goes. Oh, this isn't a good one. All right. Let's go talk about some parasitic worms have plagued humanity for as long as there have been humans, and in ages in the past, people even infected themselves with them for dieting. Well, luckily, modern medicine has made treating worm infections relatively easy, but occasionally you still get a disturbingly massive case of creepy crawlies living up some people's bottoms. We present you the gross case of 64-year-old Spanish man. Doctors diagnosed him with a rare case of hyperinfection with a certain roundworm. They made the discovery when the worms emerged from his butthole in a gigantic swarm, and then they started visibly wreathing around underneath his skin. Yeah, disgusting, isn't it? Yeah, this is a case of a worm-riddled Spaniard, and yeah, it went into the New England Journal of Medicine, where this story is. To begin, the poor guy isn't exactly well. He's getting treatment for cancer. The man suffers from metastatic lung cancer. It's not very good. Metastasis means that the cancer has started creating malignant tumors everywhere in the body, not just in one location where it's infected. So the man's immune system was barely working, and this is how the worms ended up getting in there. So the man in hospital gets treated for his cancer, suddenly began to have some strange issues. Doctors first noticed some mild diarrhea, then nothing out of the ordinary when getting cancer treatment. But his skin started getting raised. It became itchy and rashy. And then it happened around his butt. That's when all hell broke loose. Yep. Weird lesions, rashes, and it spread all over his body. Squiggly shapes moving in his skin, and that's when they found the worms. Well, they've treated him for him, and now he's on his hopeful way to recovery from at least one of his health problems. An elderly man has been put in hospital with significant injuries after he literally got into a brawl with an angry squirrel. Yeah, they may be cute and cuddly, but this squirrel was not messing around. The man who was injured reportedly tried to choke it to death, so maybe it was just fighting for its survival. The Slidell Police Department in Louisiana responded to a call stating that the old man was being attacked by the squirrel. It's not clear who started the melee, but the fracas didn't end well for anyone. The 78-year-old was left with injuries that have been described as significant, although we don't know exactly what that means, and he is expected to make a full recovery, though. We can't say the same thing for the squirrel. The furry fighter died of his injuries and sustained during the scrap, so the old man won. The caller stated that the 78-year-old elderly man was being attacked on the 911 phone call, and the squirrel was eating his hand. The man was attempting to choke it to death, but was unable to obtain a good grip. And, well, either way, the squirrel lost. Finally, tonight, an American family set off a bomb scare at Israel's main airport when they showed security inspectors an unexploded shell, which they found while visiting the Golan Heights, and packed it for their return trip home. Yeah, apparently panicked passengers were running all around Ben Gurion's airport, and they say a man was hospitalized with injuries because of it. The family was allowed to board their flight after an interrogation by security staff who declared an all-clear. Israel, which boasts the highest level of aviation security, clashed with Syria over the Golan Heights during the 1967 through 73 wars. All right. Thank you to everybody listening in to Shirky Poo's News, to Super Duke for World Bigfoot Radio, Nicole Sakic, and Swamp Dweller for coming on in. And of course, our main guest, Luis Elizondo, for breaking down everything going on in the UFO world right now. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, LGAP. Where else are we? The Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. All right. We are clear. That was a good show. I'm pretty happy about that. Oh, yes. Good show. Good show. Hold on, let me take these damn things off. That was fun. What do we top out at? Like 400 and... I think we topped out at like 424 tonight. I think that's what we topped out at. That was good stuff. Very good stuff. We deserved that. We totally deserved that. You know? At least that's my opinion. Any questions about tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Please let me know. Put them in capital letters. Thank you, AZ Man. Appreciate that. Let's download this. And yeah, I think if you guys want to chat it up for a little bit, I'd have no problem with that whatsoever. Great job by our wrenches. I know some people were a little bit upset with the way the wrenches were tonight. I did ask them personally to be a little bit more on guard tonight and a little bit more secure for Lou. Not that Lou needs protecting, but it's a controversial story, and he's a controversial figure. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, emotions didn't get too high in the chat room. So you can blame anybody. Don't blame the wrenches. Blame me. They were doing exactly what I told them to do. And I apologize. We'll loosen it up again. Evan, how did I get the interview with him? I sent sent his wife an email. His wife has taken over his booking duties, and that's how it happened. Dave's in the loop. I am so not in the loop. Gloria, has Lou seen things? I don't have a concrete answer on that. That can't be it. Where am I here? It should be right around there. I don't have a concrete answer on that. I would say this. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I'm not going to speak for him, but I can tell you this. Lou has never come out and told me I've seen aliens or dealt with aliens or or anything like that. He's never told me that. All right. Overbuilt. And by the way, Rob Heatherly also helped out in getting Lou on this show and booked for this date. So that really helped out. So Rob Heatherly is a man of his word and great conviction. He's in our chat room right now, and he helped us out with that. So I'm not taking all the credit for it. Rob Heatherly from Disclosure Tonight on Thomas Fessler's channel did help us out with that. So thank you, Rob. Good night, Human Carl. We love you, man. Spaced Out Radio does not have a Discord channel, nor are we looking at adding one in the future. I'll be honest with you, I hate Discord. I really do. It drives me absolutely bonkers. Mainly because the damn thing never logs off my phone. I literally sometimes turn my phone off or shut it down. I just don't see the purpose of it. I don't. If somebody can convince me otherwise, I might be able to change my mind. But as of right now, I just don't see the purpose of Discord. AZ man, I hate to be Lou, such a heavy burden. What do you think is going on, Dave? Even if only in part? I think, in my personal opinion, and he heard my question wrong, and maybe I asked it the wrong way. I don't know. I'll have to go and review the tapes. But I think that there's a reason why this is coming out. And I don't think it's because they just felt it was time for the UFO story to come out. U.S. government doesn't act on things like that. There's usually a bigger reason why. And I totally think, and it's my opinion only, I think that a certain type of phone rang and they answered the call and a date has been set. Whether that date is for 5 years from now or 35 years from now, I couldn't tell you. Or 50 years or 100 years from now. I don't know. But you have to read between the lines on that. You really do. And the reading between the lines states to me that there is something going on and that there's a reason that this has been moving forward the last 4 years. And I don't think it's just because we are wanting to talk UFOs or get into the UFO game.
You're listening to...
Okay, I don't think so. I don't think that's it at all. Excuse me, I just got to listen to this for a quick second.
You're listening to...
Oh, that works. Okay, good. So, there may be more reasons to it, but that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Overbuilt. Dave, what would be your dream date with a Sasquatch if you were a Sasquatch yourself? How would you entertain her? Oh, definitely. You got to go throwing rabbits into trees to see how far they can plinko down. Have to be. Have to be. Either that or go watch some great brawls with Dogman. If you're more into that UFC type of stuff. I don't know. Good night, Ray. Let me see here. Let's see here. Idea. If a listener is being wrenched, then warning first unless total blasphemy. If wrenched then, by whom, then so be it. Yeah, tonight, like I said, EMF, you're unbelievable. Oh, by the way. Tonight was just one of those nights. We didn't know every other interview that Lou has done over the past little while. The chat rooms have absolutely been overflowing with trolls and bots. And we didn't want that to happen tonight. So I made the decision with our wrenches that tonight we had to toughen up a little bit and make sure that there weren't any overly emotional type of comments. I think the wrenches did a great job tonight following my guidelines. And when I told them to kind of cut it back, they did kind of cut it back. It's one of those things that's not normally going to happen here. Okay. But it is going to happen every now and again when you get somebody as controversial as Luis Elizondo. So if you want to put the onus on anybody, you can put the onus on me. But you know what? We didn't have a lot of trolls tonight. So that worked out. Steam Train Mark, how's tomorrow looking? Am I alive or later on today? Can you please confirm with me whether or not I'm alive, Mark? I would appreciate that. Lou stated to Linda Moulton Howe that he has seen a UFO when he was on her show a few weeks ago. Oh, yeah, Lou has seen UFOs. Absolutely, he's seen UFOs. The question was whether or not he has seen aliens. And that one I can't answer. What the hell is this? That one I cannot answer. Okay, so we're going right about there. Okay. That's going to be Nicole saying, yeah, right there. So we'll leave that in there. Yeah. Anything else? I'm scrolling down here, guys. I'm about 3 minutes behind in the chat room. Dave would whip out the hairbrush onto Sasquatch, probably. Fayu, welcome to the SOR chat, by the way. Did Lou ever clarify what he meant when he said mankind's? I don't know. Like, could you elaborate? If you're still here, I hope you are. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Hi, Nell. How are you? Good to see you. Nell from the UK is awesome. You got to check out her art. It's fantastic. Let me see here. Thank you for that, Mark. Appreciate that. He was talking about aliens when he said that, and thanks. Okay. Here's the big thing, the big question that I think they're trying to figure out here, okay? And that is, how is humanity, or the old statement, mankind, now that we've kind of gone more politically correct, and we say human, for another spooky story. All right, there's a swamp.
Hi.
Okay. Sorry. I'm editing the show for our radio stations as I'm chatting with you guys, so I apologize if I'm not paying attention here and looking this way. From what I took from it, there are big concerns that Lou has regarding how, and not just Lou, but many others, on how people are going to react, or mankind is going to react to any type of announcement of extraterrestrials that are here. So I think that that's what he meant by it. Yeah, for some reason, and Black Dragon has been shadow banned from this channel, which I don't understand why. He's not on the ban list. I've been chatting with him throughout the show too, and I didn't know he had a real name, to be honest. I really didn't. Thank you, Fedora John. Appreciate you, buddy. Let's see here. Excuse me. Did I just put that on? Yeah, I did. And any other questions, guys? Now is the time. Hey, Obi Flet. I think you're still here, Obi. Oh, maybe not. That man just disappears. Like in Vegas, 1 minute he was there, and the next minute, like he was gone. Poof. Gone. Never saw him the rest of the weekend. I'm still trying to figure out how he just vanished. Hey, Carbines, right? How you doing? Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate that. Good night, Judith. Still can't believe Elizondo outed me. Science Bob. Science Bob. I love it when you're on West Coast time, buddy. I do. Science Bob. I tried on my overalls and they feel great. I'm not going to lie. I felt a little redneck in them. But damn it, these good pants, man. I'm so happy to have overalls again. It's only been like 40 some years since I had overalls. So, Science Bob wears, here's the story behind the overalls. Science Bob one day was telling me he was wearing overalls. I'm like, you're wearing overalls? I'm like, he's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm like, where you get overalls? He's like, well, I go down to the farming store. There's overalls there. And I'm like, I want some. And he's like, I'll get Sharon to Science Sharon to go get you some. So they surprised me with overalls, denim overalls, and I'm just ecstatic. I really am. They're fantastic and comfortable. I just got to get a bandana that I can hang from, a hanky or whatever you want to call it. By the way, let's see here. Oh, I can go in here. Hold on. Where did that go? Oh, let's just scroll up here. Where is it? Hold on. There it is. Okay. Bear with me. I got something cool to show you. Courtesy of Joe Monk, who does a lot of our security around here at SOR, we have a new family member. Yes, we do. We have a new family member as part of our security team. And there she is. Look at her. Look at her. Isn't she gorgeous? Look at that little puppy. She is so cute. That is our new bodyguard. The new head of security. She is so cute. She is so cute. Her name is either going to be Lola or Dave. One of the two. Lola or Dave. Oh, she is just adorable. Just adorable. She is so pretty. Oh, what a beautiful dog. What a beautiful dog. I thought you guys would like to see that. Joe's been sending us pictures all day, and I'm like, yeah, man, you have to. That's just the way it is. You have to. Keep sending them photos. Close that window, close that window, close that window. I like Lola. I'm sticking with Lola. Thanks, Rob Heatherly. You got that right, Science Bob. What Lola wants, Lola gets. I love that puppy. Well, that's nice, Moonlight. I met her out west at Joe Monk's place. She barked at me and said her name was Lola. L-O-L-A Lola. Lola. Oh, guaranteed, Ann Palmer, that Joe Monk already has. He's only had one night with her so far, but I will guarantee, knowing the big monster that we call Joe Monk, he is an absolute wimp to this dog, and this little puppy is guaranteed sleeping in Joe's bed with him, nestled right into his beautiful mane of hair. Oh yeah, I will guarantee that. Absolutely guarantee that. Hey, Science Bob, where are you right now? Are you still in California, or have you made your way back to Nevada? Hi, Jenster. I see you. Oh, you're in Las Vegas again. When do you start your trek home? Tomorrow? Why does it look so dark back there? Oh, fix that light. I'll be right back, guys. Hello, everybody. All right, we're having fun. Oh, come on, the whole thing. There we go. Bang, bang, boom. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. Folder, desktop. Close that out, close that out. That was a fun show. Fun show. Nothing's happening in Namibia right now. Let's go live. Well, let's see what's happening at Rosie's Pan. Is the snake back? No. Oh, we got an elephant. Here we go. Hold on. Oh, we got a couple elephants happening here. The elephants are back at Rosie's Pan. Oh, look at that. They're all, hey, let's go into the camera. Holy cow, there's 5 of them. Oob to little Lola. Oob. Only got 5 elephants. Look at the size of that one. Holy cow. Look at the size of this guy right here. Big J, yeah, he was a fantastic show tonight. It's awesome. Yeah, that water does look nasty. They don't care. There you go. There you go, Lola. Those are some great elephants, man. Love elephants. I want to see one go walking in there. Go for a little dip. Quickly here, the latest picture that Joe just sent. Lola listening to the show. Look how cute she is. God damn, that's a good looking dog. Good night, Gary and Gary's beard. Let's see here. Gloria, Dave, can we ask opinions on celebrity media? Sure. Ask whatever you want, hun. Oh, there's a big guy coming over here now. Let's see here. All right. We are done for the night. Radio stations have their show. Where are you able to see a love live feed? If you go on, I'll type it into the chat room. If you go here, Africam on YouTube, they have a lot of the live feeds. Oh, that one just pooped. Hot damn, that one just dropped a big weltering deuce right there. Let's replay that. Let's replay that deuce. Watch right up here. Big Herman here. He's going to drop one. We're replaying it for FAP because he loves this stuff. Yeah, that whole Johnny Depp Amanda Heard case, that thing's a mess. Holy cow, is that thing a mess. Look, you can see him. He's like, oh, man, I think I got poo. Oh, I can feel it brewing. Maybe another sip will loosen things up a little bit. Here he goes. Oh, it's time. Another sip. I'm brewing. Oh, can't even keep the water in. I know Duke's laughing right now. Oh. This is going to be a good one. My God, how far back did I go? Let's go, not there, right about. No, let's go right about there. Oh, come on. Oh, here he goes. Well, getting heavy on my feet. Oh, it's almost time. Hey, what are you guys doing over there? Don't watch here while I drop this coiler. It's going to be a big stinky steamer over here. Oh, look at his dong hanging out, too. Look at that. Guy's got a hammer. Second trunk there. Oh, God. Ugh. Oh, right here is going to be the spot. Oh, there we go. Oh. Hey, Martha, you won't get Dutch oven later. I'm emptying out right now. This is just crazy. Look at that. Oh. No, you know he's having the spasms after that. Just oh, his hammer hanging down. Hey, ladies, haven't you ever seen a couple of trunks and a big deuce like this? Mm-hmm. I'm not. You know he's not even embarrassed. Not even embarrassed right now. No, he's standing there. Yeah, he's standing there just like all you wish you were me right now. All right, that's enough of the poop thing. Play. Oh, yeah, they're leaving. They'll all leave. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's go to live feed. Let's go to Tembe, see what's happening there. Nothing. Let's go to live again. Let's go to Tau. Oh, we got some zebras. Anything else? Nothing really. All right. Live feed. Let's see. We're just at Rosie's Pan. Tau. We were just at Oliphant River. Let's go there. What do we got here going on? What are we watching here? The hell is that? There's two of them there. Zoom on in. Look like donkeys. Those wild donkeys? That one looks pretty young. May have just given birth. No, maybe. I don't know. What the hell is that? Looks like a cross between a donkey, an antelope, and a cow. What the hell is that? I don't even know. Well, those aren't hyenas. Good night, Mama Susan. She keeps licking her baby. So I'm thinking that she must have just given birth here pretty quick recently. I don't know. They're boring. Let's just be honest. You're boring. Get the hell out of here. Namibia? Oh, what do we got? Oh, hold on. We got a GNU up here. The hell's that moving in? Is that another GNU up there? We got this really cool hawk here. That might be a gosh hawk. That's a beautiful bird right there. Holy cow. Good times. Good times. Oh, here comes the wildebeest. Imagine going through life that ugly. The other guy's like, hey, look over here. You can't find me. Can't see me behind the tree over here. Yeah, we can, you dumb, ugly son of a bitch. Oh, we're zooming back. Look at that hawk. He's like, I ain't giving up the watering hole to you, you ugly gnu. And the gnu's like, well, you stay over there. Look at the bird. He's like, look at me. I'm flexing. Look at the gnu. He's like, screw up, bird. In my watering hole. I'm bigger than you. The bird's like, you screw off, gnu, you ugly son of a gun. Hey, stop calling me ugly, man. Can't help it. You're ugly, the bird says. No, this is a standoff. I think the bird's going to win. No, the gnu's like, you want a piece of me? Let's do this. Ah! We just saw a potential brawl between a hawk and a gnu. Oh, well. All right. Time to say goodnight, people, because I got to work in the morning. That's a nice logo. Goodness me, that's a nice logo. But nonetheless, thank you, everyone. Let's give a rundown of the super chatters tonight. Obie Flett, Jefferson, Doug, Abe, Lucy, G. West, Whiskers, Lori, Thomas, Davey, Filth, KJW, Ken, Patrick, Rex, Lyle, Bob, Ray, Dry Toast, Christina, Jeremy, Eddie, Jeff, Alicia, Farflung, Catfish ×2, Jefferson, Dan, Black Dragon. Really appreciate you guys for the love and support through the super chat tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, it's the SOR Roundtable. I got some friends coming in, including Grantee Mercury. Grantee Mercury will be here. No mustache, but the show must go on. And Nicole Sackett will be here. Tom Whitmore. We're just waiting on a couple of others. And thank you guys for a wonderful show tonight. And thank you for your patience in the chat room. And we'll be all back to normal tomorrow night on the show. We'll see you all then. And don't forget, pick up your SOR swag at our store, spacedoutradio.com. Make sure you're following us on social media as well. See you later. We'll talk to you tomorrow.